happy Tuesday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's another beautiful day in Mesa, Arizona, with a temperature of hot as shit. Sorry about being late today. I don't know whose fault that was. Usually I blame, but
Shut up. I owned it in the announcement.
did you really? You did?
Yeah, I
What did you
did.
say?
I said, where is it?
Niners Suck wants to remind us that Jen now knows to leave Jeff's house just a tad bit early.
You guys are all.
That commute is a motherfucker.
So no, I said I need extra time this morning, not people. Start at 9:45.
You did?
So I owned it. I did.
I feel good. I feel really, really good. Thank you for doing that.
I told you, if I do something, I'll admit to it. I think you should know me better than that.
Does that mean you just don't ever do anything wrong? Is that where we're at? I'm just like, this is like the first time.
I mean, I'm basically perfect. We've been over this. So.
That sucks. Yeah, air quality is bad. Whoever said that in Mesa, we got fires. I was looking at the forecast, what we're looking at temperature wise today, and my VPN has me in. Where's Florence, Graham, California? Where the hell's that?
Florence, Graham.
Florence-Graham? Never heard of that in my life. Oh, high of 101 today. Not bad.
Florence, Graham.
Jen was feisty on Danielle's live the other night. You went on a live last night and got the other night and got feisty? Oh, was that when you were arguing with Booger Bobby?
No, Booger Bobby was later.
Oh, okay.
I went on.
Oh.
Yeah, I was on with Liam and Nemo. Yeah.
Liam's still around, huh?
Liam, yeah.
You got to give him a little bit of credit. Like, he's durable. That dude shows up and takes a mental beating every single day.
But he thinks he wins. It's so weird.
There's no way he really thinks that. I think he like the people that are left have that are going up on liberal lives or progressive lives. I think there's a degradation kink there. Asta Sophia said, "Can you send some temperature my way? Everyone is getting summer except Iceland." Yeah, a friend of mine posted in Utah. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. I saw it on their stories today, but I don't know when it was. It was like 40 something degrees yesterday morning in Utah. So I think climate change isn't real, right?
So when I was on, Liam was next to me in the box, and so I put what I sent in our DMs as my background image.
Let me look here. Yeah, oh, this is not nice, Jed. This is very much not nice. This is what Jed. That's mean-spirited. How dare you?
Well, he likes to talk like he's like this big alpha male and dumb shit. So
did he talk about the size and girth there? I've never that's weird. I don't know.
He insinuated, which was gross. So it was...
I'm not like a good like guys guy. I've realized I'm not a guys guy person. I don't fit in well with those groups.
What does that mean?
I feel like the men in here know what I'm talking about. How would you even explain? Like, I feel like guy culture, or at least conservative guy culture, is kind of RTP gave me an oil check. That's right. Like it's mostly just recycling the same jokes and then like complaining about shit. It's stuff like, I think I've said this before, but like if you sit around with a group of like white dudes, they're just going to tell you how easy every problem is, whether it's like a football game, like coaching. They all can coach better than every NFL coach. They all can run the government better than the government. They all know about like product development and marketing better than everybody. It's basically like hanging out with Dave Portnoy all the time. Like I saw Portnoy today saying he might run for mayor in New York, and he's like, I've had a real job, unlike these guys, which was interesting because Dave Portnoy has had a job, just like Mom Donnie has, but it's a job that almost nobody else has done. It's not like he had like a real job that was like everybody else's job. He started a newspaper that turned into a podcast, and he's been very successful, but that's basically what it's like. Everybody just thinks that, if things went their way, if they had just a little luck, they'd be running the world too. Yeah, Portnoy would get like 5%. Can you imagine Dave Portnoy on a debate stage? Let him do it. Republicans put up Dave Portnoy but on the condition that he has to publicly debate. His job consists of eating pizza and being dramatic. Well, now, but I mean, look, Dave Portnoy did take a chance on himself early on. I didn't mind Portnoy early on just because like I respect somebody who's trying to build like a. I mean, as somebody like I've tried to build out my whatever you call this job. So I respected that part of it. He was always kind of a prick, though. All right. Well,
Oh, so,
why do you always leave me hanging at the end of those
sorry.
sentences?
So, I mean, I told you about.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yes, I'm throwing things.
I don't ever get text messages from Jen ever. Like Jen never texts me unless it's like in the morning before the show, and it's usually one word like outline if I forget to send her the outline, or focus, which is like because Jen does the thumbnails and like all the titles and thumbnails. That's Jen, and it'll just be like a one word, but never at night unless we have like a members only event. And then last night we were watching a movie. My girlfriend had never seen My Cousin Vinny, which is crazy. So we decided to watch My Cousin Vinny last night. And in the middle of that, I get just a picture. I can see, you guys can probably see it. It's just, can I show the picture? That's not your date that's in there, right?
No, yeah, he's not in there.
Okay. It's just, yeah.
It might. No, don't show the picture. Okay.
Well, I already showed it.
All right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyways, I get a picture and it says, "This feels like a nightmare I've had before." And I said, "Where's Boo Bear?" And she said, "Dude," in all caps. Jen went all caps. "Dude, ... He's not it. Not even a little bit. LOL." She said, "I'm not feeling it. I haven't been. He lives in a place, I won't say the city. Besides him being weird, the distance won't work." And I told her to fake sick, and she said it's too far to walk. To fake sick. That was it. So it didn't go well last night. Not a home run. But it sounds to me like the guy that you do like, he has figured it out. He's super sleuth. He now knows that this is the show that Jen works on. Jen's not proud of me, not proud of our friendship, and not proud of what we've built. So she doesn't tell anybody about what she like about this stream. But he found it, and he heard that she had a date. Which, did you lie and say he was doing something else? Or did you lie and say you were doing something else?
No, I mean, I was hanging out with Spawn earlier, but I didn't go into detail what I was doing later on. So, but yeah. So he's. I'm 90% sure he's in here listening.
Well, welcome, Stephen. It's good to have you here, Stephen. Stephen is a pharmaceutical rep for Viagra. And he's based out of Newark, New Jersey. So everybody say hi to Steven, the Viagra rep from Newark, New Jersey. It's great to have you here. Hopefully you're progressive. If not, you're going to fucking hate this. You're not going to like it one bit.
Yeah, so that's been fun because yesterday during the show I told, I mean, we'd talked when we went out. This is the one that I went out with on Sunday.
Yeah, Light Nelson. Yeah, never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, and when I've gone out before, I mentioned the show. So, and I'm not pretty general, pretty vague about what it is or where it is. But I think I realized where I made the mistake. I think I was too specific about the time of the show. So,
yeah, and do they know it's political?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Discuss the politics and anything on the left and stuff like that. But yeah, yesterday he wanted to know the name of the show. Yeah. And I told him that I talked about him to 720 something of my closest internet friends. So.
Thank you for being here. 720 closest internet friends yesterday. That's where we were at. And welcome everybody today from YouTube and from Twitch and from TikTok. It's wonderful to have you. And at some point, I may learn how to stream to Facebook. I just looked. My Facebook, our Facebook page is growing like crazy, and I didn't know that. I don't even look at it. I actually don't know the password for Facebook or Instagram. They're just logged in on my phone, and so
you can't. I mean,
I could change it, but I don't want to change it. It's working for me just fine. It logs in. We're good. As I'm going to leave it as it is until something bad happens. Then I'll change the password. What's
Yeah.
good about being a progressive? Fucking dude, nothing. That's a great question, Art Owens. There is absolutely nothing good about being a progressive. You have all the right answers, and you use science and data to back it up, and you spend all of your time trying to convince people that their feelings are not more important than facts and data. It fucking sucks so bad. Thank you for asking. And I think everybody here feels the same way. It's insufferable to be right about everything, virtually everything, and also never have people go along with the right thing. So thank you
I
for that
mean,
for that
you're
question.
right on most things. When it comes to me, you're usually wrong. But
When it comes to what, I'm usually wrong.
anything when I say something or something's a certain way. So
Yeah, like I'm only right about politics because I follow the data. It's not because like I have a big brain or like I figure things out so well. It's just that like when you analyze the data, you wind up being progressive. That's how it works. Like if you look at if you like math or science or uh, medicine, and you believe that the people who are experts in their fields are experts in their fields, and then they provide you research, and you read that research, and it seems to match with what they're saying. And then somebody's like, but my uncle Terry said that actually vaccines have chemical bioweapons in them. You're like, well, fuck. I guess can't use all this data to refute your uncle. And that's what it is. Felice would say, analyze the data, and you'll be progressive. She would say that. Oh, shout out Felice, wherever she is. Is she around?
I don't know. She was dealing with some health stuff, I think. So I don't know. She's still.
Okay.
But last I'd heard she's dealing with some health stuff. Oh, and then other fun fact: Spawn wanted me to tell you. She said hello.
Hello,
Because she's
Spawn.
watching. Because she's watching the show.
She is right now.
I let her get TikTok,
Hi, Spawn. I love you.
and so but I told her to not be obvious who she is.
Ah. Now, I'll try not to say too many bad words today.
I mean, she's my kid, so it's not
That's a good point.
not really bad words are not a big deal. So.
Grassi, this is a good question. We'll answer this because then hopefully it won't come up. You said no trans in girls' sports. I assume you mean transgender people in girls' sports. Two questions. One, why don't you care if it's in men's sports? And two, why do you care? To be honest, I don't give a single solitary fuck who plays sports as kids. I don't care at all. Like if you are really good at sports, like in youth sports, you'll probably be then you can go on and you might be a really good high school player. And if you're a really good high school player, you might go on to be a really good college player. If you're really good in college, you might go on to be a really good professional. And the cream kind of rises to the top. And I think that it's weird how much you guys focus on genitals. I can only imagine that the people afraid of trans people in women's sports are one, just afraid of some stuff you've got going like internally, some thoughts you have, maybe some feelings, some desires you have internally that you shove down and repress. And I also just imagine you're a shitty athlete, and you were a mediocre athlete, and you think that everything should be easy for you. I mean, I the same argument that you guys use. I'm not saying this is the same argument but the same argument that all the dumbest MAGA use for not allowing trans women to play sports with other women is it's literally the exact same argument for why you wanted sports to be segregated, why you didn't want black people to play sports with white people. It's honest to God the same fucking argument. So I think it's just like, I think it's bigotry. I think it's fear. I think it's you feel like you're owed something. It's entitlement. But I could give two shits about if somebody who identifies as a girl and is going through like gender affirming care or more like medically prescribed care. If they play with my daughter, I don't care at all. That's crazy. I don't know why you guys are so obsessed with that. So hopefully that clears up and we don't have to talk about it the rest of the time. Art Owens is proof of what makes it so insufferable. Yeah, Shane. Yeah. YKSD said SCOTUS protects birthright citizenship for now. Yeah, while also giving blanket blanket I don't know, not amnesty the right word, like a blanket ability for the executive branch to just pick and choose when they can send people wherever they want to. I don't think our founding fathers, I was thinking about this today because the Supreme Court ruled on temporary protected status. And they basically said that's an executive branch decision, that the executive branch gets to determine who has protected status. And because it's temporary, they get to determine when it's temporary, when it's not. That's probably like based on previous laws and the way the Constitution's written. It's honestly probably correct. It's not the correct decision morally, but I think like legally, it's probably the correct decision. Somebody smarter than me could probably make a compelling argument that it's not. But once again, like it goes to show that there's a flaw there. That one person shouldn't be able to make the determination of who gets temporary status and who doesn't, and when you can take it from them. I don't think that our founding fathers had that in mind when they designed immigration. I think that that's a power that should be sent to Congress, honestly. I don't think that should be in the hands of the executive branch. So if I was a member of Congress today, I would be introducing a bill to take that power away from the executive branch. I think that's stupid. Yeah, the Supreme Court's not in the business of morals. You're right. They're in the business of interpreting the law. And I don't think that they do that, honestly. I don't think this version of the Supreme Court does that. I think they start with their principles and then they justify their decisions based on existing law. But it was probably every legal breakdown I saw, and I probably saw like 5 or 6, all agreed that this was probably the right decision according to how the law has been interpreted and how it's written. But it is fucking shitty, and we'll get to it. But it's just going to hurt not only the Haitian refugees that were here, but also the communities where they would be removed if they decide to remove them. So, just one more time where racism seems to be the motivating factor, and fuck the consequences by the Trump administration. And that's what you get when you have Stephen Miller running the show, which he absolutely is. Amber says Supreme Court ruled in favor of those obsessed with checking children's genitals. Go child genital inspectors. So gross. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Oh, Kennedy said love you too. As besties. Of course, as besties, Kennedy. Of course, as besties forever. Thank you, Kennedy. What is that? All right. Jen, do your thing and we'll get going.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so thrown off right now.
Why are you thrown off?
I'm just thrown off right now. So
you want to talk about it?
No.
Oh, what's up, Steven? Steven, Jen's trying to do her job right now. You might be new to this, Steven, the Viagra sales rep from Newark, New Jersey. Right now is like the only time during the live where Jen needs to focus and do announcements. After this, we've got like 3 straight hours, Steven, where you can text Jen. This is the only time I really need her. She doesn't pay attention to a word I say otherwise, but as soon as she's done with this, you can have her right back, Steven. Go ahead, Jen.
Anyway, all right, welcome everybody. We're on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch today. Like everyone, if you're not new here, you know that we have a gift goal that we need to hit each day so that we can keep doing this. This is our job. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards knocking out that gift goal. The pay links are preferred over the Super Chats because Super Chats takes quite a bit more. So yeah, if you could help us out with that, that would be sweet. If you're not a paid member or subscriber, wherever you're watching, you should become one so you can join us for members-only events. We do those every other Wednesday. And what day is the game this week? I know that's not
Wednesday.
So for you don't have to be a member, but Jay or someone is going to stream the soccer game.
I am gonna go. I'm not going to be at my house. I'm going to be somewhere else on Wednesday, but I'm going to stream it from my laptop. So as long as it should work, no problem on the laptop. But I'll be streaming it from my laptop.
Shouldn't be an issue unless the Wi-Fi is trash. But so if you guys disagree with RTP and like to come up and have a conversation, how do you do that? You send me a DM on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify. I'm not going to say that I'm attractive.
Okay, thank you.
But when I take off my clothes in the bathroom, I turn the shower on.
That's so much better than yesterday's joke. That was a lot better. Thank you, Jen. And thank you, Stephen, for your patience. You can have Jen back now. Asta Sophia said, sending in support to my favorite YouTuber. Love you, RTP and mods and fam. Big W for Asta Sophia from across the pond in Iceland, sending in $100 over on PayPal. You are way too generous all the time. We love you, and thank you so much. Whoever that is, the lie guy, lie Nelson, you dude, stop. Like we've talked about Graham Plattner a million times. Like until you guys actually get rid of the Nazis out of your party, you don't get to talk about Nazis. Like, if you're going to accuse Democrats of supporting a Nazi because you think Graham Plattner is a Nazi, then like, aren't you just accusing them of being Republicans? You guys have no problem with Nazis in your party, none. Stephen Miller is absolutely a Nazi. He steals from Hitler's speeches all the time. Trump had like what's more who's more likely to identify with Nazi beliefs? The person who stole the American Nazi slogan in America First, who had a book next to his on his nightstand where he read Hitler's speeches, who chose as his number one advisor and the only advisor to make it through both administrations and the 4-year gap when Biden was president. Stephen Miller, just like an absolute Nazi. He brings in Nazis to eat with him at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, like it's fun. I know this is fun for you, but I don't think that and even if Graham Plattner had been a Nazi, even if Graham Plattner had held like Nazi beliefs before, his beliefs now are different. So then it's like, do we believe him or do we not? And that's a fair argument. That's fair. Like I think that there's some progressives in here who are still out on Graham Plattner. There are people who like that is a deal breaker for them, and that's fine, but not for you. Like you don't get that moral ground. You don't get that moral ground at all. You guys have Nazis all over your party. And until you guys stop capitulating to Nazis all the time, you don't get to make that criticism of other people. Yeah, Greg Bovino, that's a good point. Pete Hegseth. Like Pete Hegseth, if Graham Plattner's tattoo was a Nazi tattoo, then so is Pete Hegseth. It's like in the exact same way. They would both be Nazi tattoos. And if they both have Nazi tattoos, and both of them got them while in military service, and both of them checked with the United States military that these were okay, then maybe our military is also pro-Nazi. I think you could make a compelling argument that we have there's a good amount of white nationalists and Nazis in our military as well. So you don't get to have that. And Ly Nelson, we're going to move on to other topics now. I appreciate it. I engage with you. I'm just going to ask you not to talk about Nazis anymore and engage with the rest of what we're doing today. So you got like 2 more minutes to wrap this up. Once we're on to the next point, I'd love to engage with you more. You're welcome here. All opinions are welcome here if they're opposing, just on topic. So now that we've addressed that, let's not talk about Graham Plattner anymore unless we bring him back up. And if we bring him back up, you can be like, he has a tattoo, and we can discuss that again. Okay, is that fair? I think that's fair, right? Ly Nelson? By the way, Nielsen is my family name. We might be related. That sucks. Or it's good. I don't know. Are your great great grandparents also Mormon pioneers who came from Sweden? Nice hat. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't get a lot of love for this ASU hat often, so I appreciate you guys saying that. Let's jump into the show. Before we do, just a reminder, guys, on TikTok, this sucks. I hate saying this, but we've been told over and over again that the reason we get banned and don't have protection is because we don't solicit gifts very often, like TikTok gifts. It is like an informational show, and I think most of you that are watching on TikTok watch so that you can watch this show and like scroll back and forth between shows. We appreciate you. We love having the show on TikTok. If you have the means to help gift and if you don't have the means, just liking the live, sharing it, that helps us be protected from getting banned again. We went from, I think our account had 50, 60,000 followers. We're back down to 14 now on the backup account and trying to rebuild that. So that's one way you could help us. You can either gift on there or share and like. That helps a great deal. And I'll try and update the top viewers as we go. TikTok gives me this weird scoreboard where if you leave, it's not going to show your gifts until you come back. So if I miss you and you feel like you've gifted, I'm sorry. That's just a bug in TikTok there. So let me make sure I got everything so far. All right, perfect. Let's kick things off today. I want to get back to this book. By the way, I cannot recommend this book enough. even though I can't remember what this book is called. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I've been listening on Audible. It is Regime Change. It is hands down the best sourced book I've ever read on any single administration. It's getting virtually no pushback from the Trump administration. They clearly have multiple people on the inside who are feeding them this information. It's really well done. Even if you're a Republican, you're probably not going to hate this book. But the thing I like about it is it's giving me some clarity on how things work. And it's helping me understand some of these moves that Trump is doing. And I think it would help you guys as well, because it gives you a glimpse into how these decisions are made and who's actually running the show. This was a clip from C-SPAN that crystallizes this. And this was like one of the glaring things in the book is there's I thought like 3 or 4 people making decisions. They're gonna say there's 5 or 6 people making decisions in this administration. It seems like 3 or 4 based on what I've read so far. But this is an administration where if they come to Trump with an idea and he just likes what they say, he'll write an executive order right then. He won't go and research it. They don't need data. Multiple times, it's just Howard Lutnick meets with somebody. They give Howard Lutnick, or not Howard Lutnick itself, but they give some organization $1 million. Howard Lutnick makes a phone call to Trump. It's like, hey, they need regulation, or they need to be deregulated in an industry. One of the great examples was what was the food manufacturer? What's the food manufacturer that it's like some Christian sounding name. You guys know? It's not Cisco. It's not Cargill. Pilgrim's Pride. It was Pilgrim's Pride. They're a subsidiary of a Brazilian company called JBS, and they gave Trump $5 million. And after they gave Trump that $5 million, they relaxed regulations for, I think it might have been like salmonella, for testing for salmonella. It was one of those things. Actually, let me see. It's probably right here. After giving him $5 million, the Department of Agriculture announced that it would allow meat processing facilities to accelerate their line speeds, the rate at which workers process meat and poultry, a long-sought goal of the industry. The agency said research has found no direct link between processing speeds and workplace injuries, even though some studies have indeed showed the faster line speeds. And then where is the other one? There was something about regulations for, I don't remember. I want to say it was salmonella, but it might be wrong. I'll figure that out and I'll add it tomorrow. Anyways, here's the clip of showing how this administration is run by like 5 or 6 people.
It's this very interesting juxtaposition. We write that time is a flexible concept in Trump's White House. Previous presidents, George W. Bush being one example, Barack Obama being another, previous presidents used to schedule their time in 10 or 15-minute increments. I mean, that's how organized they were. You know, the adage that a president's most valuable commodity is his time. The Trump White House to the outside looks like this hive of activity, this incredible machine that's just pumping out, activity. But for people who actually go in and see him, it can often seem like he has all the time in the world. And when we went in, for example, to see him for an interview.
This is March 16th.
March 16th, this year. Perfect example. Unhurried. It was the 17th day of the war in Iran. There'd been American casualties. The war was not going so well. You could imagine a president under huge duress and stress and maps and whatever. He was the picture of relaxation. And in fact, when we walked into the Oval Office, on top of the Resolute desk were photographs of maple trees. And he held it up and he said, I'm buying maple trees for the White House. Turns out I'm good at buying trees. Underneath were more pictures of his ball.
It's such a crazy thing. Turns out I'm good at buying trees. How hard is that? Why did you guys hire an interior decorator? Is this what you hired him for? To make everything gaudy and gold? That dumb fucking arch that they have. You see it anytime you see clips of the America's State Fair or whatever it's called. Is this really what we hired him for?
Room of the columns.
Why would I think it's simple to buy trees? Have you ever been in construction? No. My dad, yeah, I have. My dad was a general contractor. I worked in construction. It's not hard to buy trees. You just buy them. What are you talking about? Why would you think it's simple to buy trees? Have you ever been to Home Depot? Have you ever been to Lowe's? Have you ever been to a nursery? It's not hard. You go up, you point at the tree and you go, I'll take that one. And then you buy it. Don't just buy trees. They're just not the same. Yeah, no, there's different types of trees. That's true. Are we going to have this? We're going to have this argument. We have a real MAGA here in the chat. Yeah, I know not all trees are the same. I grew up around orchards. Like we had, like in my backyard, we had 3 different types of apple trees. We had grapevines, we had pear trees, we had apricot trees, and we had a full garden. Go ahead and argue with someone with 50 years of construction. You don't construct trees, my friend. People who do construction are not tree experts. Was that an arborist? Is that what it is? Yeah, that's somebody who cares for trees, I guess. That's an arborist. So when I build apartment complexes with 550 units, there's no trees. I don't know if there's trees. Why are you an expert on trees? This is crazy. I can't believe we're here. You guys are missing this. This is on TikTok. So when I build apartment complexes with 550 units, there's no trees. That doesn't make you an expert on buying trees. Wouldn't that make you an expert on destroying trees and like leveling the ground, preparing the land for construction? You work construction, so you're a tree expert now. This is how crazy we've gotten as a country. Like, of course, Donald Trump's not an expert on trees, but MAG is like, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is, and so am I. I'm also a tree expert because I do construction. Okay, that's crazy.
Maple trees, and he held it up and he said, you know, I'm buying maple trees for the White House. Turns out I'm good at buying trees. Underneath were more pictures of his ballroom, of the columns. He spends very considerable amounts of his time on...
I'm an expert actually on ballroom because I prefer wearing boxers over boxer briefs. Or I like a little more ballroom. So I guess I'm more of an expert there. Trump, from what I understand, wears tighty-whities. I don't think he would be, and diapers. So I don't think he's really an expert on a ballroom.
Decoration, design, rebuilding monuments, and refurbishing Washington, D.C. The meetings are unstructured and rolling, as we say. There often isn't a sort of delineated endpoint. But there's also something else that's true, which we write in the book, which is for important topics.
Apparently the guy has no jobs or he wouldn't be on here talking about trees.
You know, things that they actually do want to keep secret. They're very good at keeping secrets, much better than the first term. And what I think people will understand when they read the book is this is nothing like the first term. This is a country being run by 5 or 6 people, a tiny group. And most people in the government, even at a very senior level, at various agencies, State Department, Pentagon, have no earthly idea what's being said in this room and what's being discussed and what's being planned.
I think we have the answer as to why nobody can answer questions in congressional hearings. They don't know. If this reporting's true, and it seems to check out, nobody knows. There's 6 people that know what's going on. That's why it's such a clusterfuck. That's why nothing's working. And then when they go in front of Congress, there's like, we're not going to give you any answers, so here's a list of things to talk shit about to Democrats in Congress. And they're like, all right, got it. So they just go in there and they don't answer questions. They talk shit. We'll get to some of that here a little bit later.
So we try, I mean, one of the hardest things that we had to accomplish as reporters, you know, for this book was breaking into those rooms and trying to get out that information, because if this was the first term, it was like anyone could get a leak. It was leaking constant stories every day, stream of consciousness. He now has true loyalists around him, and the leaking is just far less prevalent.
What did you say? How do I like those jobs numbers yesterday? If you know anything about Trump's jobs numbers, you know that you should never take the numbers at face value. 100% of the numbers that this administration has released have been revised downward a few months later. So we'll see. It's not that great, though. The labor force participation rate stayed exactly the same. It's lower than it was in February of 2020. The employment to population ratio increased 0.4 percentage points, which is basically just because you got rid of people. What's this prime age employment to population ratio? Barely increasing. What's the job numbers I'm supposed to look at that I'm supposed to be so pumped about? Average weekly hours are way higher than they were. Like January of 19, average American worked around 35 hours. Now the average American, 34.5 hours. Now it's 34.8. So people have to work more hours to make less money. And I don't. Those job numbers weren't great, but Trump. And what did Trump do to get those job numbers? Nothing. God, dude. Can you just hurry up and come so we can stop with you? Just finish off real quick. Spout off all the things you love about Trump. Come real fast, and then we can get back to talking about real stuff. But the real stuff is that this administration is terrified. That's why the circle is so small. That's why nobody knows what's going on. Is they're all very, very afraid that they're going to get caught doing illegal things, but mostly because they're doing illegal things. Specifically, Stephen Miller, who's doing very illegal things. Something we now know, and this is going to be the theme of the show, is the depth of the corruption. And if you read this book, you'll find out that Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem's boyfriend, what's his name? Corey Lewandowski, Howard Lutnick, all the Doug Burgum, they're all taking bribes. They're all basically telling everybody that you have to give us money to get favors for us. And here is Stephen Miller explaining now how they're operating as like a mafia shakedown in the GOP.
Faith in our ability to count the
You can't take me seriously till I criticize my own party. I'm a registered Republican, bud, and I criticize Democrats every single day. So I don't know what you're waiting for, but you guys are in power right now. You're the MAGA party, so we're going to focus on the people that are in power. And that's a weird thing to say. Why would you not take me seriously? Why wouldn't you just listen to what I say and decide if it's valid? Why would you base your opinion on what I'm saying on whether or not I criticize Democrats? You're a child. We got to grow up a little bit, right? This isn't an adult way to process information. Take what I say, decide whether it's true or not based on research, and then am I right or am I wrong? But you're like, I won't listen to you if you don't say bad things about Democrats. Let's be a little bit more mature, right? So now we're characters attacking. My God, dude. Are you okay, bud? Are you having some big feelings today? I'm trying to engage with you, man. What you beg for my attention, I engage with you, and then you're like, now you're being mean. I think that's a dumb way to process information. Do you think that's a good way to process information? Am I wrong about that? You're waiting for me to bring up some facts, just making extra accusations? Yeah, so far, what I'm giving you is people's reporting so far. That's fair enough. And you don't have to believe that, but would it make you believe it if I was like, Democrats are shit? Oh, you said Democrats are shit. Now I believe it. No, it wouldn't change anything, right? Oxblack said, former landscaper here. Weird flex for a construction worker to brag about being an expert on trees. That is weird. Also, not a true flex.
ballots. We have 53 Republicans faith in our ability to count the ballots. We have
so now we're talking about passing bills in Congress. And here's Stephen Miller saying exactly how this administration operates.
53 Republican senators. And I know everybody says, well, this senator won't vote for it or that senator won't vote for it. It's because there's no consequence on them, Laura, for not doing so.
Well, two are leaving,
fundraising.
Right? Tillis is gone.
Right.
Right. He's on. Cassidy's gone. But Cassidy's.
Who the fuck is this guy? You guys didn't vote for Stephen Miller. Why is Stephen Miller telling you that it's up to him to punish the people you elected to do what he wants, and that we need more punishment for them? Stephen Miller's handing out punishments now to disobedient Republicans?
But they all have a life they want after the Senate.
Yeah.
They all have foundations they want to be a part of, corporate boards they want to be a part of. And the ones who are still there are committee chairpersons. They're committee chairwomen. You need to have a situation where if you want to be in Republican politics, you have to understand it is a team sport. And one more point on this.
Toe the line. You do what Trump says. And then he gives it away. Like, all these people have foundations. When they leave, they need our help still. We're not going to give them any help if they don't do exactly what we say. This is a fucking shakedown. Here's Donald Trump all but confirming this, by the way. What's sitting on Trump's desk right now is a housing bill. It's a decent housing bill. It's as good a bill as you're ever going to get out of a bipartisan Congress. A lot of give and take. Yes, Elizabeth Warren got a lot of what she wanted, but not because people love Elizabeth Warren. It's because she's smarter than most of the people in Congress, and she has a lot of good ideas. So it's legitimately a bill that passed with like 85% support in both chambers. It will slow the rise of housing, and it will make housing affordable to people who right now can't buy houses. It's a decent bill, but it would help. It would help us if we sign this bill. To some degree, it is going to help the American people, and Donald Trump won't sign it, and not because not because it's a bad bill. He doesn't even know what's in the bill. He wants to be able to cheat in the upcoming election, which is exactly what the Save America Act is. It is a bill to help you cheat. And my man, wherever you went, I would like you to fact check this. Media, I don't remember what it is. Media, whatever. Fact check this. Every Republican that talks about the Save Act says the exact same thing. They say 80% of Americans think you should have to prove your citizenship to vote. So why wouldn't we pass this bill? Because that already exists. No Democrats are voting against the bill because of the proof of citizenship provision, because that law already exists. We already follow it. People already can go to jail if they don't follow that. What people are opposed to is the extraordinary control the federal government then retains over elections, and the obvious voter suppression. The obvious hoops that people are going to have to jump through now to re-register to vote or to register to vote for the first time. And this is just true. And this is as nonpartisan as I could possibly be here. Democrats always want more people to vote. And you can say that they want more people to vote because they just love democracy and they love seeing everybody vote. I don't care. I don't know what their motivations are. But when more people vote, Democrats win. When less people vote, Republicans win. So that's why you see both parties. You can make up the motivations, whatever you want. You can say they have good intentions, bad intentions. I don't care. But Republicans want to make it harder for people to vote. Democrats want to make it easier. That's as simple as you can make it here. Every time Republicans try and pass a bill, it will make it harder for people to vote. And that means less people will vote. And they understand that. Just like Democrats understand that if you were to expand, like, for example, in some of these states where if you are not a citizen of this country, you can vote in local elections. Why do you think Democrats did that? Well, they can tell you, and I would agree that I think people who live there, even if they're not citizens, should have some say in what's going on. That would be my argument. But do I trust that that's why they did it? No, it doesn't matter, right? But they probably did it because they know the more people vote, the better it is for them. So we can take our assumptions and we can take them both at their best or their worst. But the reality is Democrats want more people to vote. Republicans want less people to vote. That's just true. So Trump now is going to kill this bill that helps American people because he wants less people to vote. That is indisputable. There is no argument against that. There is absolutely no analysis, left, right, center, on this bill that says it will not cause less people to vote. Did I say word that? It will make it so less people will vote. Every analysis says that, including the Republicans' own analysis. And we're talking about eligible voters. We're talking about people who are citizens, who vote regularly. It'll make it harder for a certain amount of them to vote. That's what they're looking for. So Trump is going to try and kill this housing bill and use leverage, and I don't think he has it. The one thing that Trump, I think the mistake that he's making by consolidating this power is that consolidated power is fine when things are going okay. Things are not going okay. And eventually, these members of Congress start speaking out, and that's what we had. You had literally a screaming match between Bill Cassidy and Donald Trump about this bill. But here's Trump now telling you it's not important to him at all to make housing more affordable.
What are your plans for the housing bill, Mr. President?
I don't know. I think it's so unimportant by compared to the Save America Act. I think the Save America Act is exactly what it says. It's saving America from crooked elections.
Oh, okay. Never mind. If there's any Republicans here, I would like you to point to one provision in the Save America Act that is more important than reducing the price of housing. You have to put a specific provision.
And
Voter ID is just common sense. It's not a voter ID bill. Jeb, that's the point. The Republicans are only telling you about voter registration and voter ID. I'm moving the goalposts. Yeah, by showing all of the bill. Yeah.
the housing bill is a bill that can get approved. They worked on it long and hard. It's very bipartisan. That means the Democrats like it. Nobody knows more than housing in the history of the presidency. Nobody did well like me in housing. When I look at that bill, it's a bill.
I don't know what that means. I mean, this is a man who knows a great deal about building housing. This is a person who's been sued multiple times for discriminatory practices in housing. He's not actually the builder. I would imagine there's a lot of people. I'd imagine there's other presidents who knew more about housing than him. He doesn't seem to know a great deal about housing. He just knows how to build apartments.
But when I look at the Save America Act, it's about saving America. Much more than a bill that big deal. It's a yawn. Some people say it's wonderful. To me, compared to the Save America Act, just about everything is a big yawn.
It's a yawn, guys. You not being able to afford a house is just a big yawn to him. He just wants to be able to cheat in elections. That's it. Fuck helping the American people, you know? Who needs to help the American people? All right, moving on here. Here's Stephen Miller. Now, jumping into exactly what we're talking about, like, here's the defense that Stephen Miller provides for this Save America Act. You tell me when he points to something fraudulent or illegal. This sounds like a lot of feelings here. Stephen Miller's the messenger for the Trump administration. I saw a clip on CNN with Sunshine, whatever, that used to be the communications director for the Trump campaign. And she was like, everybody, like, we just need to clean up voter votes. Like, there's too many things that are too many questions that arise. People don't have faith. And they're like, okay, where's your evidence? None. There's literally no evidence. This is the evidence they're providing.
Get done, Laura.
Well, what is this going to mean for
GOP is going to think all this consolidation of power is great until they lose and the left takes over. We actually get things done, and he made it easier for us. If polling and the way that elections have gone since Trump took office hold, then yeah, you're probably right about that, Amy.
the midterms, in your view, given the number of states that this affects?
Well, it could be potentially extremely damaging. In other words, if you have a situation, as we saw in California, with Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles, where every single day ballots continue to tilt the election in ever more improbable and ultimately impossible ways, then we don't have a democracy.
In what way is a Republican losing the mayoral race in Los Angeles improbable and impossible? It's just like every time they keep counting votes, and the more they count votes, the less percentage or the worse Spencer Pratt does. You say you're a registered Republican, yeah, every single thing you say aligns with Democrats. Yeah, no shit. Not everything I say aligns with Democrats. Actually, a lot of what I say, establishment Democrats fucking hate. The establishment Democrats do not like me. They won't even talk to me anymore. The people that I used to converse with in the Democratic Party that used to call me and ask me to get on calls and call me and ask me to go to campaign events, they don't even call me anymore. I'm a registered Republican because I live in a Republican area and I want to vote in the primaries. I do not hold Republican values, mostly because Republicans don't hold any values. But no, I'm not a fan of the Republicans. I was just explaining that I'm also not a fan of the Democrats. I just like good ideas, and you guys don't have any.
We have no faith in our election system. We have no faith in our ability to count the ballots. We have 53.
Why don't we have faith in the election system? Why don't we have faith in our ability to count the ballots? Just because they keep telling you not to have faith. It's such a self-sustaining prophecy. The people who vote for us do exactly what we say, and they think exactly what we tell them to think. And we've been telling them to think the elections are stolen, even though we don't have any evidence. And so now they don't believe that elections are safe. So we have to pass new legislation that makes it harder to vote to appease them. We do have open primaries in Arizona. Did we change that? When did we change that in Arizona? I guess if I am yeah, I could register as an independent, but then I can only vote in a Republican or Democrat, right? In the primaries, I have to be registered as an independent, and then I can only do it with one party. I wanted to be registered Republican because I want to get the phone calls when Andy Biggs is doing town halls.
Republican senators. I know everybody says, well, this senator won't vote for it or that senator won't vote for it. It's because there's no consequence on them, Laura, for not doing so.
That's good to talk about an unelected bureaucrat raining down consequences on elected officials, and Republicans like, this is what we wanted, but we fucking hate fascism. We hate unelected bureaucrats unless it's our unelected bureaucrats. Here's Stephen Miller going on now talking about Haitians, and this is just one more example of how racist hate and bigotry drives this administration to do things that are don't help us, that hurt us. This administration is not looking through the lens of like, how can we make things better for Americans? It's how can we force our ideas on Americans? Now, this Stephen Miller's just a fucking racist. It's absolutely insane if you don't think Stephen Miller is a racist. His entire, Stephen Miller came out of high school. He used to call into, was it Huckabee's show? Might have been Mike Huckabee's show. And he would just call in and talk about how like black and brown people are ruining our country. That's who he's been always. He got Trump's attention the first time around by talking about mass deportations. Trump has even acknowledged this publicly. Trump has said, if Stephen Miller had his way, we would get rid of, I think, like 60% of this country. I think that's what the quote is. He says when he talks about deporting black and brown people, Trump's like, if Stephen had his way, it would be more. Like, they all acknowledge this is just a racist bigot. Here he is now talking about the temporary protected status of Haitian, I guess, I don't know if we say migrants. They were, I think they were refugees. But if it's migrants or refugees, I think it's refugees.
Wait. Mike DeWine, Stephen, the governor of Ohio. See, we know each other so well. I can just
watch what they laugh at here. Sorry, by the way. They're both laughing at Mike DeWine because Mike DeWine isn't a white nationalist. And so he consistently criticizes Laura Ingraham and Stephen Miller because he's a governor of a state that has a bunch of Haitian people there who are crucial to their economy. So they hate Mike DeWine. That's why they're laughing right now. This is an inside joke. Oh, Mike DeWine, that blood traitor.
each other so well, I can just throw that name out, and he starts laughing. Mike DeWine said we'll essentially cease to have healthcare workers in his state if you deport all those Haitians. So we'll have no health. We've never had healthcare workers in the country until we had.
Now that's a fucking lie. The way they're spinning this, Mike DeWine said our healthcare system, especially like our nurses, we benefit heavily from Haitians who have come here, got nursing degrees, and now like they kind of prop up our healthcare system here in Ohio. If you just remove their status where they can't work anymore, or you remove them from the country, we're going to have massive shortages in all of these hospitals. Now that sounds bad, but Stephen Miller's response to that is not, here's the solution. Here's how we replace these people. It's, yeah, I wouldn't take my family to a black doctor anyways. Amy said, GOP are against Sharia law, but trying to do the Christian version, look like me, think like me, or else. And who the hell wants to look like an anal polyp?
So I'm just going to say this. If I have a loved one who's, and this is going to be very politically incorrect, but if I have a loved one who's in the hospital.
Politically incorrect means this is going to be blatantly racist, but I'm on Laura Ingram's show, so I can just say whatever the fuck I want because she is blatantly racist.
Hospital in emergency medical care, I'm going to take the licensed American nurse, not the illegal alien from Haiti. That's just me.
All right, Steve.
If they have temporary protected status, they are not illegal aliens from Haiti. So that was just racist, right? Somebody said, is DeWine the one that covered up the train crash? I don't know. Like, I'm not a fan of Mike DeWine, but he's being realistic. He's looking at their staffing. And he's like, oh shit, we rely on these refugees to prop up our healthcare system. He's just calling balls and strikes. And Stephen Miller's like, well, I wouldn't take my family to a black nurse anyways. They must all be illegal immigrants. That's where you Cap for Life. What do you think about that? Is there anybody that wants to defend that? That's here. Am I missing something? Is he say? Is there a different way I can spin this that's not racist? I'm a licensed American nurse who is also Haitian. Thank you, Paris Mom. Does he only want white nurses too? Because, yeah. Is there anybody that's defending that? Yeah, great point, Benny. How would they be working as a nurse if they're illegally here? They wouldn't be. This is a thing that's not. It shows you. And Stephen Miller is smart, so he knows that that's not the case. But he's going to tell all these viewers, he's just playing into their racism. And some of them don't even realize they're racist. They're the same people. They're like, I'm not racist. I want people who are qualified to give me care. Well, what evidence did he provide you that they weren't qualified? They're licensed. They went through medical school or whatever training they needed if they're like a RN or a CNA, and they're licensed. So where's the evidence that they're not qualified? Seems like he's just saying the evidence is that they're black and from Haiti, right? If we take into account that many immigrants are working below their capability because the U.S. makes it far more difficult to transfer their education, many were doctors or other high professions prior to their coming to the U.S. but can't invest the time. Yeah, I actually have a family that lives in my neighborhood that I become like kind of friends with. They have 2 adorable dogs. They've got a daughter that's my daughter's age, and they are immigrants from Mexico. And they fled Mexico because his wife was an attorney. And she had some issues with the cartel, and he ran a big. He was the general manager at a big grocery store. So both of them had like decent careers. Now he works as a construction worker here, and she is a bartender 3 or 4 nights a week and absolutely hates it. She has a law degree, but because of the way that they immigrated and her licensing, it doesn't transfer over. I have another friend who's married to somebody with almost identical situation, also has a law degree, can't practice law here in the United States. He must be an arborist. That's correct. He's an expert on trees. Thank you for bringing us back to that. Eugene said, do you think Ukraine TPS will be taken away? They are white. The deadline is 10/19. No, but we'll see. I mean, Trump really, really, really hates Ukraine, so it could be, and that would be a good way for him to be like, "See, I'm not racist. I also hate the Ukrainians." All right, let's look at this. This is being severely underreported. The Supreme Court has now struck down party campaign spending limits. This is outrageous. Raise your hand if you think that we should get money out of politics. And then raise your hand if you think conservatives want money out of politics. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision Tuesday, struck down 50-year-old limits on political party spending for campaigns, a decision that could unleash swaths of funding into campaigns across the country. Vice President J.D. Vance is the one who brought the lawsuit, National Republican Senatorial Committee v. Federal Election Commission, as a then senator from Ohio several years ago. He argued rules preventing candidates from coordinating campaign expenses go against the First Amendment rights of a candidate running for office. Yeah, of course, J.D. Vance, sponsored by the Billionaires, is like, hey, we should be able to spend unlimited amounts of money. Justices on the High Court agreed. Kavanaugh said the Federal Elections Campaign Act limits the First Amendment free speech rights of candidates for political office. How? They're using Citizens United as the doctrine now. The Federal Elections Campaign Act limits contributions to individual candidates each year. For 2025 to 2026 federal elections, the maximum individual donor contribution to a national party committee is $44,300. Because virtually every means of communicating ideas in today's mass society requires the expenditure of money. What? A restriction on the amount of money a person or group can spend on political communication during a campaign necessarily reduces the quantity of expression by restricting the number of issues discussed, the depth of their exploration, and the size of the audience reached, said Kavanaugh. Money is speech. If you have more money, you get more speech now. That's what you guys signed up for. When you asked for conservative judges, this is what you asked for. You asked for conservative judges who would rule that the richest among us should have an outsized voice. That their voice can be amplified because of the money that they have. Yours obviously can't because you don't have money. This is what you got. Congratulations. I don't know why we're not reporting on this. This is just Citizens United all over again. Money is speech. You think that's what our founding fathers intended? These guys are textualists, originalists. That's what every one of these members of the conservative Supreme Court say, like, we're originalists. Really? You're an originalist and you think that unlimited amount of campaign spending should be allowed? That's an originalist idea? Where did you get that from? Was that Jefferson? Washington? Hancock? Who gave that opinion? Yeah, exactly, Alicia. I mean, the more money you have, the more say you have. Shane said Trump signed the Haitians TPS so he could revoke. True. Travis Trawick, CEO of Full Pack, told the Center Square the High Court's decision could unleash billions of dollars into campaigns throughout the country. He said the ruling would allow more billionaires to invest in political campaigns across the country, a trend recently seen by Elon Musk. We're going to see that trend continue, and that's just kind of what America allows in our democracies. Several justices on the court disagreed with the majority. Justice Elena Kagan said allowing political parties to support candidates through this decision endorses corruption in campaigns. I'm going to jump ahead, and we're going to do this. But, like, you want to see this in real time? I'm going to jump to number 8, Jen. This is what it gets you.
But
this is Senator Chris Murphy. This is a 35-minute presentation he did on the floor of the Senate. And normally I would clip this. I can't find anywhere to clip. This is 35 minutes of meat and potatoes. There's no fluff in any of this. 500 days of corruption. You will see how people using their money for campaigns is actually just them buying politicians, and specifically the President of the United States.
But DOJ just drops these investigations, signals that the Department of Justice is no longer going to hold crypto companies accountable. But Blanche owns major investments in crypto stocks. The president is one of the biggest players in the industry. Blanche doesn't actually stop there. He eliminates the entire enforcement team at DOJ dedicated to rooting out crypto-related fraud and money.
Have I seen the church doing a reenactment of ICE unaliving a protester? Yeah. Gross. I don't want to show it. I don't even want to promote that. I'm not surprised.
Money laundering schemes. This is a crypto investor who works for a president who owns crypto companies, shutting down the unit at DOJ that holds this industry accountable. Let's move to 3 weeks later, on April 30th. Later in the month, a curious...
Oh, sorry, I missed that from Amber. 2.3 million jobs added in 2024 under Biden, 181,000 in 2025 under Trump. Winning. Where was that guy? Yeah, winning. 181 in a year for Trump. In the year previous to Trump coming in, 2.3 million jobs added. Trump's winning because it's like golf. You want the lowest number of jobs. Literally, Trump can do anything. Like, Trump can shit his pants, and you're like, are other presidents shitting their pants? Like, all right, I guess that's another win.
Announcement from the Department of Agriculture. They are reversing a rule that would require poultry companies to limit salmonella bacteria levels in their products. This is essentially
salmonella. Yeah, perfect.
A rule to make it less likely that people will get salmonella poisoning. It sounds like a strange rule to eliminate. We come to find out that one of the biggest donors to Donald Trump's inauguration was a poultry company called Pilgrim's Pride. They made a donation to Trump's inauguration.
Ironic that a food company named after the Pilgrims is wanting to be able to poison the people of that country. The irony there, right? Hey, we're called Pilgrim's Pride. We should be able to push diseases on people. That's kind of what the Pilgrims did. Shouldn't we be allowed to give everybody salmonella?
That was bigger than practically any other company, bigger than Amazon, Meta, or Exxon. $5 million. And after they made the donation, they asked for one thing: the reversal of this salmonella rule. And they got it. This is pay for play. You make a donation to the president or the president's political operation, you ask for a favor, and you get it. And we will see as we wind through these 500 days, this happens over and over again. Colleagues, over the last year and a half, our president, Donald Trump, has turned the White House into a 24/7 corruption operation. This is a national crisis, and we should start acting like it.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot that first part. I'm sorry. I wasted 2 minutes of your time. I don't know why I did that.
The president's goal is to engage in so much corruption, so much self-enrichment, to hand out so many favors to his friends, his family, and his political allies that it just becomes the pitter-patter of rain. It's normal, it's constant, it's never-ending. Trump's bet is that if there's a new story of corruption, of self-dealing, every few days, that the press will stop covering it. Or
I mean, he's right. He nailed it. Every day. How many times have we covered a Trump corruption story? It's impossible. I'd have to do if I had to go through all his corruption every day, it would be a 24-hour live stream. We would never stop.
The public will just stop paying attention. To an extent, he is tragically succeeding. But he's also betting that the public will just come to the conclusion that this is normal because all of our politics are this corrupt, that every senator, that every previous president is this corrupt. That is not true. Well, I disagree with my Senate Republican colleague's decision to
I gave him a little Adderall. He's going to speed up now.
largely remain silent in the face of this misconduct. It is true that not a single senator on either side of the aisle engages in the behavior that our president does. Senators, Republicans and Democrats, do not trade our votes for cash or for political contributions. We don't run side hustles like crypto companies. Senators don't give contracts to their kids.
I was thinking about this because I didn't like it when he said that. He's like, we don't trade our votes for cash. Okay, maybe. Then I had to be honest with myself. In the same, and Mag, I'm gonna ask myself the same question as you because I think you and I probably have a similar response. Anybody, I guess, can answer this. Because I don't think that. I think certainly they're trading their money for votes. However, this has 23 specific examples. If we're going to be fair, can we point to a specific person who got a specific donation and then voted for a specific policy for getting rid of a specific regulation? It's hard. A lot of you are saying AIPAC. I kind of agree with that. I don't agree with what he's saying here. But that is what MAGA says. Like, he's nailed the argument. Every time we bring up Trump's corruption, MAGA says everybody does it. They don't say this isn't corrupt. They don't say you can't do this. And the follow-up question is always the same for me. What other president did this? And they never can name another president, but they'll name some obscure member of Congress, or they'll say something generic that we all agree with, like AIPAC. But there's never been a president who did any of these 23 things. And this is the amazing thing that Trump has been able to do to Republicans. Is Trump has been able to say, if you're going to talk about my corruption, you need to talk about it and compare it to all the other people's corruption combined. And that's what you folks do. The amount of corruption, no single politician in the history of this country has had anywhere near this level of corruption. And that's why you always have to use like 50 different examples. But your 50 different examples are versus one guy. Like, give me one single politician who has 5 documented instances of corruption. The only ones I really know, like Bob Menendez, lost his job in Congress, was convicted for taking gold bars as a gift. The gold bars in his gifts were worth, I think, a few $100,000. Donald Trump has taken 1,000 times that. No charges. Not a peep from Republicans. Generally, when we find somebody who has done this, there are consequences, but there are no consequences for Donald Trump. In fact, it seems that a lot of you like him more the more fraud he does.
Just because we can. And no president in the history of this country.
Connor said, happy last day of Pride from a bye boy. Happy Pride to all who are celebrating.
Has done what Donald Trump has done. No president has done 5% of the self-dealing that Donald Trump has done in the last year and a half. This moment is exceptional. It is a one of one.
Like I do what, rough frame? You think I'm taking donations to then change regulations? Again, like I don't know. Like I feel like when you're a Trump supporter, to still support him at this point, you just have to hear sentences and not understand any of them. There's nothing wrong with taking donations. I can't change your life. I can't, if you give me money, there's nothing I can do to like deregulate the government for you. I mean, like, you're going out of your way to say dumb shit. And once again, you're comparing me to the president of the United States. You always have to do that. Always. You can't compare him to Joe Biden. Compare him to Obama. Compare him to the Clintons. Compare him to Bush, senior or junior. Compare him to anybody else. It's getting pathetic the way that you guys defend this guy.
Moment. And if it becomes normal, if people stop being outraged at what he is doing to enrich himself, then I fear there is no going back. The White House will just become a place to get rich. So I think it's time to pull back and see the full picture. To not view this as just one isolated scandal after another, every single one popping up each week or every few days, but to understand the full scope of this illegality. Last year, I came to the floor to document the first 100 days of Donald Trump's mind-blowing corruption. Since then, especially in 2026,
Hey, maggots, you've been saying the same dumb shit. Thanks, Shane.
Pace of his misconduct has quickened dramatically. And so I'm here on the floor today, and I'm going to spend more than a few minutes doing this, laying out what has happened since I gave that last speech.
There we go. The White House, a place to get rich like Barack Obama. Okay, perfect. Let's go there. How did Obama get rich in the White House? Who said that? Dean Johnson. I'll look for your answer. Explain to us how Barack Obama got rich that's comparable to these things.
This is the story of 500 days of corruption. And I'm going to start on April 7th, 2025. This is when the current acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, issues a memo ordering the termination of several Biden-era DOJ investigations into crypto companies. Now, here's the problem.
Netflix. He signed that Netflix deal when he was out of office. So he didn't, it's not corruption. You can sign whatever deals you want. He got that deal because he used to be president, but that's not corruption. It's a private company giving him money, and at that point, he has no power. So no, it's not the same thing. He didn't change any legislation or any rules for them.
The then Deputy Attorney General is a major investor in crypto companies. And he works for a president who is a major player in the crypto industry. But DOJ just drops these investigations, signals that the Department of Justice is no longer going to hold crypto companies accountable. But Blanche owns major investments in crypto stocks. The president is one of the biggest players in the industry. Blanche doesn't actually stop there. He eliminates the entire enforcement team at DOJ dedicated to rooting out crypto-related fraud and money laundering schemes. This is a crypto investor who works for a president who owns crypto companies, shutting down the unit at DOJ that holds this industry accountable.
How's that not corrupt? How do you support that? People are running pump and dump schemes. The attorney general, who's invested and has the insider track there, right? So he's on the right side of these schemes, decides we're not going to investigate these schemes. He and the president he works for are both benefiting massively from these schemes. The people who have invested in Trump's coins, they've all lost their money. The only people that have made money in Trump's crypto were the people that Trump gave cryptocurrency to before they sold it publicly. It was a pump and dump scheme to steal from all of you that invested. And it's an obvious crime, but there's nobody to investigate it because it's the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice is led by Trump's personal attorney, who is also in on the take. Cap, I appreciate you. Let's take a second. Cap for life. Can you explain to me how that's not corruption? Can you explain to me how this doesn't bother you? This has never happened before. We have never once had an attorney general who refused to investigate a crime that the president was committing. In fact, the last attorney general opened investigations into Joe Biden's kid and Joe Biden. The last attorney general, who you guys all said was the worst attorney general, opened investigations and then recused himself, so he didn't even have oversight. He created a gap and said, you investigate Joe Biden, you investigate Hunter Biden, and you do not report to me. I will not dictate this. He recused himself because he was the political appointee. So can you explain it to me? Yeah, you just did an AI search. Department of Justice indictments and legislative probes over the last 6 years have identified tens of billions of dollars in alleged scheme. Yes, during the Biden administration and even the first Trump administration. Trump used to hate crypto. He used to view it as a scam. He said it was a scam. He said he would never be into it because it's a currency that competes against the US dollar. And then he found out he can make a lot of money doing it, and now suddenly it's not a scam, and suddenly we're not investigating anymore.
Let's move to three.
Did he pardon his own son? That's a good question, Darcy. And I don't think, I'm on the record, Joe Biden never should have done those last minute pardons. That was a big fucking mistake. It was a big fucking mistake for his legacy. It was a big fucking mistake for the rule of law. And what it's going to do is if Democrats win the midterms, Donald Trump is going to pardon everybody. He's going to preemptively pardon everybody in his administration, and then we're going to have a discussion is like, can we prosecute people who have been pardoned? Joe Biden did set the table for this, and I don't like it. I'm not saying Trump wouldn't have done it anyways, but now what do you do? What do you do if you're the Democrats and you're like, hey, you can't preemptively pardon people, and then they'll say, where were you when Joe Biden preemptively pardoned people? Wasn't good. That was a bad idea.
3 weeks later, on April 30th, later in the month, a curious announcement from the Department of Agriculture. They are reversing a rule that would require
yes, the pardon's just for federal charges. Yes.
Poultry companies to limit salmonella bacteria levels in their products. This is essentially a rule to make it less likely that people will get salmonella poisoning.
Let me skip through that.
Sounds like a strange 2005. The pardon racket starts. Every member of the Senate should be outraged at this. You all know what is happening. The president is pardoning people based on their ability to pay, either him and his political operation, or pay people who are close to the president.
Now, this is indisputable, and this is why Chris Murphy's frustrated. He's like, you all know what's happening. Anybody with eyes and ears knows that Donald Trump is taking payments and then pardoning people who pay him money. Everybody knows that. I hope that at the end of this, the president loses pardon power. I don't think pardon power should exist. I don't know why the fuck pardon power does exist. It never should exist. The executive branch should never have power to pardon anybody. So I would hope that there's a push to just get rid of pardon power, but that's pretty wishful.
On May 27th, Donald Trump pardons a man called Paul Walzak. This is a really bad guy. He stole millions of dollars from the nurses.
Auto pen. Shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a shit about the auto pen. Even if Joe Biden signed all of his executive orders with auto pen, it is not unconstitutional. It does not make them non-binding. The only way that those pardons would not be constitutional is if Joe Biden said, I did not approve that, and somebody signed it with the auto pen. That's it. But he said he approved all of them. He doesn't have to sign it a certain way. He could put an X. He can do whatever he wants. The pardon power rests with the president. It's a bullshit argument that you guys get distracted with. Don't talk about the auto pen. It's stupid. Welcome everybody from the Monty Raid. Appreciate you guys. That Just Monada over on Twitch. Make sure you're following Just Monada over on Twitch.
And healthcare aides at the nursing home he owned. And he used the cash that he stole from his employees to buy a $2 million yacht. He got convicted. He went to jail for fraud. But his mother paid $1 million to buy a face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump. And 3 weeks after that paid audience, her son was given a full and unconditional pardon that went so far as to relieve him of any duty to pay back the $4.4 million that he stole from his employees. This is a new pay for pardons scheme that begins in May.
And again, nobody has ever even made an attempt to defend this. This has never happened before. And Trump is doing it right in front of your faces because he knows what we all know, that you don't have principles. You just will defend him, and there's nothing that he can do that will make you stop supporting him, unless like you just suddenly lose all your money. Like if the market crashes and you can blame it on him, some of you still won't. Some of you will just go down with it. But that's what we're learning here. Like any one of these would have buried any other president. For fuck's sakes, Richard Nixon was impeached because of Watergate. Trump does a Watergate every day, and we can't even get articles of impeachment. Amy said AutoPen has been used by every president since 1950, including by President Trump. Thank you.
In June of 2025, it's revealed that top administration officials are cashing in on government contracts that benefit their own investment portfolio. Stephen Miller is more than just the architect of the administration's hardline immigration policies. He has a personal financial stake in them. For instance, Miller owns up to $250,000 in Palantir stock. And just a month before Miller's holdings became public, ICE announced that it was awarding a $30 million contract to, you guessed it, Palantir, to provide real-time surveillance information to ICE officers. And you'll be shocked to hear this. There was no competitive bidding process for that contract. And you'll hear this over and over again. Competitive bidding basically doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree with that, Stephen. What's the point of impeachment if the Senate will shut it down? When I said not even articles of impeachment filed, like Democrats know. So I agree with you. I was saying, like, where's the Republican? Where's Thomas Massey on this one? Where are the handful of truth tellers that you have? Alleged truth tellers. How's Thomas Massey not speaking out about this one?
If the president or somebody close to the president wants a contract directed to a friend or to a company in which they invest. Miller, overseeing ICE.
Where's the FBI? Yeah. Probably drunk.
ICE gives a no-bid contract to Palantir. The investors in Palantir, which include Stephen Miller, get rich. Let's move to September of 2025. In September, we start to learn the danger.
Yeah, exactly. Remember the $30 million with Cheney and Halliburton? Man of time. Dick Cheney giving no-bid contracts was such a fucking story that it didn't go away for months. And we changed, Congress almost unanimously changed laws because Dick Cheney gave a $30 million no-bid contract to Halliburton where he was going to benefit. And we were like, nice, we did it. America stood up against corruption, and they changed the rules so you couldn't do no-bid contracts. And now we're just back to it. Like literally everything Trump is doing is what the Bush administration did that led to instability in the Middle East and a total financial collapse. And Trump and this administration is just doing it again. They're just deregulating everything, corruption everywhere. Fuck it. Let's go down in flames.
Of Donald Trump's crypto corruption. I covered this in the first 100 days of corruption. This is maybe the most corrupt thing that Trump is doing. He and his family own a crypto company that issues several crypto coins. There's no disclosure on who is buying those coins. The president promotes them. He invites people to official events who purchase the coin. On September 18th, though,
if we revisit the Hunter Biden thing, because I think people are talking about Hunter Biden, let's just revisit the claim here and let's compare the two. The claim from about Hunter Biden was that he used his dad's name and allegedly promised access to his dad in return for foreign contracts, either from foreign governments or foreign companies. The investigation, what would have made it a crime is if Joe Biden would have been getting kickbacks from those contracts, or if they could find evidence that that money, when it went to Hunter Biden, then caused some sort of action by Joe Biden, and then they could say there's the corruption, there's the crime, and Joe Biden should be impeached. Now, the closest they came to was when it was Burisma. The problem that they had with Burisma, and the reason they couldn't ever tie Joe Biden to that, is number one, Joe Biden wasn't the president. Joe Biden was the vice president. Joe Biden would often speak arrogantly like he did something, but as vice president, he couldn't go to Ukraine and say, hey, we're not going to give you this money. He did that under the direction of the president and under the authority of the president. But what he threatened Ukraine with is, if you don't start investigating companies, we won't fund you anymore. And after he made that announcement, the owner of Burisma fled to Russia. The prosecutor, who was refusing to prosecute and investigate, fled to Russia. And the new prosecutor came in and investigated Burisma. So it's pretty hard to be like Joe Biden did this for his son when there was no material benefit there for his son and nothing changed. In fact, it became less corrupt. And that's where the Republicans got stuck. They also got stuck by never being able to provide that a single dollar came back to Joe Biden. The two examples they used were a loan repayment from Hunter, where Hunter paid his dad back the exact amount down to the penny that his dad paid for truck payments. And I think it was like a $50,000 loan to his brother. You can see the check going out from Joe Biden to his brother, and then you can see money coming back to Joe Biden in the exact amount from his brother. So he didn't benefit from either of those transactions, and that was their smoking gun. This is different. In this instance, when we're talking about Trump cryptocurrency, we are seeing organizations put money into Trump's cryptocurrency. They're purchasing Trump's cryptocurrency. And Trump gets a percentage of that on the sale. He gets between 1% and 3%. I never remember which one is which. And out of that 1 or 3%, I think he keeps 70% of that. And then the people who invested are free to do whatever they want with that cryptocurrency. They can pull that money out if they want to. They can they can sell the currency. They can keep it in. They can do whatever they want. But it's a stable coin, so it's largely like tied to the dollar. So it's not that risky of an investment. Meanwhile, Trump gets millions of dollars, and then we're watching him go to the Qataris, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll sell you chips. Everybody else in the world can't get these chips, but we'll sell them to you after you give me this money." That's the difference. We have the paper trail. The paper trail you guys were looking for Joe Biden exists for Donald Trump, and you still won't acknowledge it, which means like it's just hard to take you seriously about any of this. Where's Ruff? Ruff was the one that was pushing this. Are you talking about Viktor Yanukovych?
We come to find out
we're talking about Trump right now, but
Trump made $57 million selling crypto tokens to entities associated with the regimes in North Korea, Iran, and Russia. Extraordinary investments being made by entities that are tied in with North Korea, Iran, and Russia into Trump's crypto companies. It begs the question, as we are currently debating an Iran deal that basically exists on Iran's terms, why was there a flood of money from Iranian regime-backed entities into the Trump crypto companies? Why were they putting that investment in? What did they expect to get from the president? We've never, ever before had this exist. We've never had a backdoor mechanism by which foreign governments could just...
Dolphin said, did you see Aaron Parnas' new video about pay-for-play pardons? Trump's considering 250 pardons to individuals who can pay millions to honor America's 250th. Guess what? More fraudsters. No, I haven't seen that.
Just shovel money into the pocket of the president. It exists because of the
Will there
Trump...
ever be accountability for this? No. No. We have to change the laws. I think we need to prepare ourselves for the idea that Donald Trump will never pay for any of this. But we do need to change the law so it can't happen again.
Trump's meme coin and his stable coin. On September 23rd, this is a week later, it's now pretty obvious that there's a pay-to-play regime in charge of the White House. A week later, on September 23rd, Donald Trump closes the books on a criminal investigation into one of his key advisors, Tom Homan. This is his border czar. The FBI had caught Tom Homan red-handed engaging in naked corruption. Undercover agents had handed him $50,000 in cash, in a bag, and he agreed to give them government contracts. This was on video. This is the border czar getting a bag of cash in exchange for contracts on video, but the administration on September 20th just makes the investigation go away because...
How do we explain that? For the Republicans here, let me just explain this game here from Tom Homan from Republicans. What they've told you and what they've sold you is that there is a big problem in our country with immigration, specifically illegal immigration, and that all the problems that we have are caused by illegal immigration. On the back end, those same people who are telling you that are literally taking bags of cash and that they're getting from private prison operators who are now running detention centers, and they're making a fortune. Now, do they believe that immigrants are really the problem? I don't know. Don't care. They have an incentive to believe it. And you have an incentive to not care about this. Because, and this is the trick that they play politically, they get you to care about something. They don't prove that it's a real problem. And then, because they're addressing an issue that you think is a big issue, you don't care that they're being corrupt. You don't care that they're being made rich off of all of this. You just care that, like, they must care about the same things you do, and they're solving a problem. I'll ask you guys, like, what's gotten better? What's gotten better since these mass deportations and these ICE raids? How has it made your life better? It hasn't. Has it made our economy more sound? No. Has it made prices go down? No. It has done absolutely nothing to benefit us, but these folks are benefiting. That's the game they play. They get you all worked up in your feelings about something, and then when they do corrupt things, you don't care because you're like, well, I don't like the corruption, but they're doing the right thing, so I'll overlook it. Meanwhile, they're not doing the right thing. They're not helping you. They're just being corrupt.
That kind of bribery, that kind of naked graft is okay in this White House.
Yeah, Tom Homan naked.
We're moving on to October 2025 right now, 2 weeks after Homan is let off. Maybe the most nakedly corrupt pardon. There's not a single senator that could defend this. Cheng-Peng Zhao built an entire business based on allowing terrorists, drug traffickers, and sex predators to use his cryptocurrency to evade the law. He went to jail for this. But he also helped Trump launch his crypto business. So who cares about financing terrorists and sex criminals? Trump gives this guy a full...
who said that? Where's rent going down? Like, as a whole, is rent going down in this country? I haven't seen that data. Show it to us.
Pardon on October 7th. It's naked. This is a guy who built a company that allowed terrorists and sex predators...
Hey, Dave Smith, I want you to hold on that. 6 figures to sit on a board of Burisma without experience in said company. 2 things, and I just want you to hold on to this. Number one, Hunter Biden absolutely got that job at Burisma because of who his dad was. That's unequivocally true. It's not true that he didn't have experience. It's not true that he wasn't qualified. He was. His position before going to Burisma, and his job at Burisma was to help with logistics, specifically shipping via trains. His job before that was he was on the board of Amtrak, a train company. Logistics. Was he the most qualified? Probably not. I don't know who else they considered. Did he only get that job because of his dad? Probably, but he was qualified. Now, David, and everybody remember David, because in a second, they're going to start talking about the Trump kids' experience in cryptocurrency and in weapons manufacturing and in drone manufacturing and in rare earth mineral mining. And you're going to find out the amount of money they got from you out of your fucking pockets. I don't give a rat's ass who Burisma pays. I don't care. It doesn't affect me in the least. That's the type of shit you guys always claim socialists are mad at. You guys seem mad that Hunter Biden figured out how to use his name to make money off of private companies in Ukraine. I don't give a shit. I really don't. If he sucked at his job, that sucks for Burisma. They shouldn't have paid that money. That's a private business. It doesn't hurt me at all. It seems to only hurt you guys. He's like, it's not fair. He's making money. But now we're going to get into the part where your money, my money, our money is going directly into the pockets of Trump's dumbass kids. And when I say dumb, like, they have accomplished literally nothing. They have never accomplished a single thing outside of their dad's company, and even then, their dad's company has not been great. This is the most successful they've ever been, and it is due entirely to corruption. So, David, keep that fucking energy in a minute when we get to the part where government taxpayer money is going into Don Jr.'s pockets for multiple businesses where he has absolutely no experience. Just make sure you keep that energy. And when you do have that energy, I also want you to think, does it matter to me if Hunter Biden gets money from Burisma? Does it affect me? No. Does it matter to me when Don Jr. gets taxpayer money? Yes. But you'll only care about Burisma. Why? No, I'm just partisan. I'm not really here to make good points. I'm just here to cheerlead the Trumps.
To engage in private financing. He went to jail. He got out of jail because he agreed to help get Trump rich. We're still in October. Later that month, the bulldozers arrived to destroy the East Wing of the White House. It's still amazing to think that that actually happened. And the ballroom corruption racket begins. The word goes out, if you want something from Donald Trump, donate to his ballroom. It's all he cares about. We know that. Donald Trump talks about his ballroom all the time.
If you want, you can donate to my ballroom fund, which is just buying more free-flowing boxers as well. Phoenix said, Tom Keene just said the reason he was missing for so long was depression. Didn't stop him from treats. The guy that was missing for like it was depression? Fuck, man, that's real. Like, depression is very real, but maybe send a replacement. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I don't want to shit on somebody. I don't want to judge somebody's depression, honestly. Republicans can get depressed too, but yeah, it didn't stop them from trading.
As of this month, more than half of the publicly identified donors to the Ballroom Project have, since they made their donation, won a new or expanded federal contract, totaling more than $50 billion. More than half of the people who donated to the Ballroom have, since they donated, and this just all kicked off on October 15th. This has only been like 8 months. Half of the people who donated to the Ballroom have gotten a new or expanded federal contract worth $50 billion. Moving on to November of 2025. It's not just Trump's corporate donors that are getting rich now. Part of the White House.
We're 15 minutes in at 1.25 speed, and we're only to October of 2025. If you wanted to lay out all the details of Joe Biden's crime family, it would take you 4 minutes, and you wouldn't have any real evidence. 15 minutes in, we're not even to June. Like, and this only goes through May.
His daily operation is to find creative ways to funnel taxpayer money to Trump's kids. This one's wild. The Trump administration, in November, early November, announces a really unusual deal. The government, the Pentagon, is taking a $50 million stake in a single rare earth.
Steve, he's going to get to that.
Minerals company called Vulcan Elements.
All right, let me go back to a sec.
In November, early November, announces a really unusual deal. The government, the Pentagon, is taking a $50 million stake in a single rare earths minerals company called Vulcan Elements, and giving them a $620 million taxpayer-funded loan. That is big money. And the Pentagon doesn't really do deals like this. But they do.
Remember yesterday when we had I forgot his name, sorry buddy if you're here, came up and we talked about, and I said, I think our government, when we invest in companies, should take a 50% stake. And then he was like, that's socialism. And that, like, this is literally what you guys criticize China for. Something I think China does well. When they invest in a company, they take a stake in that company. This is the Trump administration literally doing China socialism. The stuff that this is what you all hate about China. The Trump administration is doing this, and it's going to benefit his son.
When Donald Trump Jr. is one of the company's key investors. We come to find out that civil servants in the Pentagon.
I'm at the point where both sides are corrupted and they both point at each other and no one goes to jail. All right, Jamie, I appreciate that. You're not there yet. Keep digging, bud. Keep digging, because this both sides isn't. Because again, and let me just prove it to you, Jamie. Name one other. We're talking about Trump's corruption, and you're doing what I said MAGA does all the time. Is you take Trump's corruption and you compare it to everybody else. Name a single figure in American history with this level of corruption. Don't both sides your way out of this. This is a lot of my friends are in the position that you're in right now. They're conservative or conservative leaning, or they just don't like progressives, and maybe they voted for Trump, maybe they didn't, maybe they held their nose and voted for him, but they're not ready to admit that this whole thing is a scam, and they just can't quite take that next step of, oh, this is different. And I just challenge you there, Jamie, like challenge your own beliefs. Like think in your head, where's corruption like this? Where have you ever seen corruption like this in this country? Have you ever seen a president just like handing out contracts to his kids? Have you ever seen presidents selling pardons? This isn't a both sides issue. This is a Trump issue. And the both sidesism shit just makes me think like you're not really ready to criticize them, or you're politically you're conservative, and so you don't want to admit that it's only conservatives that are doing this right now.
Did not want to do this deal. Only did it because the White House told them to do the deal. One official said, quote, "The call came from the White House. We have to get this done." Before the deal, Vulcan was worth $200 million. Donald Trump Jr. made an investment. His father got the Pentagon to give them the contract and buy the stake in the company, and the valuation jumped overnight $200 million to $2 billion. Donald Trump Jr. 10x'd his profits.
Yeah, thank you, Brutus. The Dems aren't beyond reproach. Yeah, we criticize the Democrats all the time, but once again, you're doing both sides. We're talking about Trump right now. If you're going to compare Trump and his corruption, you have to compare him to another singular person. You're doing the same. Like, I don't know how many more times I have to say this. If you have to compare Donald Trump's corruption to the entirety of every corrupt app our government has ever taken, then perhaps he's the most corrupt person ever, because it requires you to go back decades over with thousands of members of Congress and the executive branch to even try and make a comparison. And even then, none of you have actually brought up anything. None of you have actually brought up a single instance. If you have to compare him to everybody of all time and he still has a better resume of corruption, then maybe it's him.
I mean, has anybody in this body justify that? You've probably not even heard that story. It barely cracked the news. Like in normal times, that scandal alone, the president's son making an investment in the company, the federal government then making a massive investment subsequently. The Pentagon didn't want to do it, only did it because the president told them to do it after his son made the investment, and the value of the president's son's investment went up by 10 times. That scandal alone would take down a presidency. This one barely gets noticed. 3 days later, news breaks that Trump has ordered all the markets in U.S. Coast Guard bases and facilities to stock his personally branded wine and cider, directly profiting from his control over the military. How
about that? The military never wanted Trump's wine and cider because it sucks. No, there's literally no market for it. Now he forces them to stock it? What other president did that? Why do you guys suck so much? Because your dad pays me $50 every time I do, and times are tough. That's why we suck so much, May.
Coast Guard, sell my products.
That's crazy. You got to suck off Donald Trump for free. Old diaper dandy with the mushroom head, and you're just like, I'll do it for free. Don't even wipe first. Leave the mess.
That's it. That's not a complicated one. That's just like ordinary ho-hum corruption. Nobody even knows that happened, that exists, because this all feels normal now. We are not out of
Kerry
November.
For always speaking truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate that.
Yet, fellas. 2 weeks later, you feel this, right? The pace now is quickening. Trump releases the head of a nursing home empire, Joseph Schwartz, from prison. This guy, similar to the other guy, scammed his patients, his employees, and the IRS out of tens of millions of dollars. He was a tax cheat. People died in his facilities due to his negligence. He was just stealing money from his nursing homes. But he paid $1 million to Trump-connected lobbyists. And Trump pardoned this fraudster.
Why? Why did Trump pardon this person if it wasn't for money? May, why did Trump, May, this is your one chance today. Why did Trump pardon this fraudster? How come this fraudster had to just gave Trump $1 million and his crime of fraud was expunged and now he's walking free? Explain that real quick. This is the only thing you're allowed to talk about. I'll let you go back to being a troll, but I will ban you again 24 hours if you don't answer my question directly. Why is this okay? While we're going, Amy said something and wasn't sure if it was worded right. Let me scroll back up, Amy, and I'll find yours. I hate this. Somewhere along the line, Streamlabs made it so I can't scroll up and keep it there. 88 to 95 Republican politicians have been convicted since 1960. 1 to 2 Democrats have. That's not a great number for you Republicans. Where are you at, May? This is your only chance. So May's going to do this thing. My dad will tell you later. Cool. All right, May, we'll see you tomorrow. 24 hours for May.
After serving 3 months, there was no claim that he was innocent. There was no claim that the trial was rigged. No, this guy was convicted of massive fraud. He hurt people, and he got out of jail because he paid.
He sent Dolphin said, send the Aaron Parnas video to Jen. I know you already have a show scheduled, but thought you may squeak. Now, look, I'm just going to be honest. I don't give a shit about Aaron Parnas. I don't mean to be rude. I could give a fuck about Aaron Parnas. Aaron Parnas reports stuff that he hears is about to happen. It winds up being true like 70% of the time. I don't follow Aaron Parnas. I don't think he provides a service that I really even like at all. I don't put a lot of credibility into Aaron Parnas. Now, he's a good reporter. He's getting scoops. Like, somebody's telling him this stuff. He has real sources. I'm not saying that he's lying, but I mean, I'm interested when it is an actual story. But I'm not huge on Aaron Parnas.
The right lobbyists who are connected to Trump. This is how it all works.
No, not your bad. It's just my opinion. You didn't know that. Not your bad. I appreciate you saying it, and I'm gonna watch it after. I probably wouldn't put it on the show because I don't want something out there and look like I'm saying this is definitely going to happen. I'm just careful with that.
Not just Trump getting rich. It's not just Trump's sons getting rich. It's about everybody connected to the president getting rich. This pardon for cash scheme. All right, we're into December now. 2 weeks later, out of the blue, the Trump administration revokes a Biden-era rule. This is back to nursing homes, to ensure that nursing homes have sufficient staffing to meet the basic standards of care. We have a lot of evidence that understaffed nursing homes have higher mortality rates, but this rule is now rescinded.
Oh, good.
And guess what we find out? We find out that nursing home executives got together, paid to have a private lunch with Donald Trump, because remember, you can pay millions of dollars to Trump-affiliated political entities, and you will get a private audience with them. At lunch, they asked...
The fuck? I don't even know what that noise was. You guys hear that? Is that my fire alarm? I have no idea what that noise was. They did come check my fire extinguisher this morning, so I'm wondering if they're just testing everything. They might have just been testing the fire alarm. I got a letter about it. I probably just didn't read the letter. My bad.
Him to revoke this rule. And he immediately ordered it done. No public discussion, no consideration of the merits. The nursing home executives paid the price to get a lunch. They asked for the rule to be rescinded, and the rules got rescinded. No process. Had the lunch, paid the money, asked for the rule to be rescinded. Trump called up, and the rule was rescinded.
That's crazy. The people running nursing centers, who, by the way, they're on the government dime as well. Instead of using, I don't know how much money they paid collectively to have this lunch with Trump. I'm sure that money could have been poured back into their centers. They're like, hey, we need to cut costs here. It'll affect the residents, but can you just rescind it? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he just makes one phone call in one day. We don't think that's a problem. Again, and once again, Trump derangement syndrome people, show me any other politician ever with this track record.
We're now in 2026. On February 10th, Trump announces that this one's wild. He announces on February 10th that he is blocking the opening of a bridge that is ready to open connecting Detroit to Canada. It's ready to open.
It was paid for by the Canadians, by the way, also, this bridge. So we didn't even pay for it. It helps Canada, it helps us.
This is a bridge that's going to help people on both sides of the border.
Neely says, here's a bag of cash that's definitely not a bribe. Sorry, it's not $50K. That's all right. Thank you, Neely.
And guess what we find out? The owner of an existing bridge, whose profits would be harmed by the competitor bridge, donated $1 million to get a meeting, this time with Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. And this isn't within days this time, within hours of the meeting with the Commerce Secretary, hours. The owners of the existing bridge got what they wanted. Trump announced that he would block the opening of the bridge. $1 million, a meeting, and a donor gets what they want within hours.
You think that's enough time to make a decision? Good enough to, that's a plenty of time to go and research it and make this decision?
The next month, we start to see that Trump's inner circle knows that they can get in on the action. Very few people are closer to President Trump than Corey Lewandowski. And he is, at the time, the special advisor to the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And Lewandowski is basically like, there are no rules anymore. I can do whatever I want. And so he literally...
There's a part, by the way, in the Haberman book where they talk about Lewandowski, and when they were talking about appointments, basically everybody thought that Nikki Haley was unqualified to be in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. And Trump's response legitimately was, I like her, she's been good to me, and I owe Corey Lewandowski. It was just like an open secret that her and Corey Lewandowski had this, whatever you want to call it, affair, fling. And so he put that, knowing how corrupt they were and unprepared they were, he just put them in there because she had been nice to him, and he wanted to help out Corey Lewandowski.
He starts to engage in mob-style extortion threats to contractors. He demands direct payments from companies that want DHS contracts for his protection. If you pay me money, I will...
Kristi Noem, what did I say? Did I say Nikki Haley? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Kristi Noem. Sorry. My bad. Kristi Noem. I'm sorry, Nikki Haley. I feel bad. I don't think Nikki Haley cheats on her husband. Sorry, Nikki Haley, if you're out there.
Will protect your contracts. And there's plenty of evidence here from the companies themselves who tell the story of when they refuse to pay Lewandowski for protection, mob-style protection. Suddenly, their contracts from DHS dry up. A DHS employee confirmed that he received direct instructions to not give a company that didn't pay Lewandowski any more contracts. In April, another scheme to help Donald Trump...
23 minutes in. Just keep
kids.
going.
For almost 100 years, it has been illegal to ship handguns through the mail because it's a lot easier for violent criminals to illegally access guns if they can just get those weapons shipped to their front door. But Donald Trump Jr. bought a huge stake in a company that was going to corner the market on the mail order sale of guns. And so Trump's DOJ got to work and declared that this 100-year-old law is magically, all of a sudden, unconstitutional, clearing the way for another company owned or invested in by Donald Trump Jr. to make big bucks by mailing guns.
Once again, 4 years of Joe Biden's presidency, of you guys telling us about the Biden crime family, there are now 2 instances we've covered so far with his son, with Trump's son, that do exactly what you accused Hunter Biden of doing without evidence. Now the evidence is clear, and it's worth, because a lot of this is taxpayer money too. It's not Burisma money. And you don't care. You didn't care about Hunter Biden either. You don't care about anything. You care only about winning. And not winning in terms of like your life getting better, but just being right. Just the person you like being in charge. And that's enough for you. Once the person you like is in charge, we found out very quickly that you legitimately, MAGA, if you're still here, have no principles. We do this all the time, but like we ask you all the time, like, tell us one thing that is true. And every time we ask you to tell us one thing that is true, you tell us something that legitimately isn't true. It's the opposite of truth. What principles do you have? Are you fiscally conservative? Are you fiscally responsible? I guess you are fiscally conservative. Are you fiscally responsible? No. Do you believe in cutting spending? No. Do you believe in free speech? No. Do you advocate for free speech? No. Are you anti-war? No. Legitimately, everything that you say you stand for, you do the opposite, which tells us that either one, you don't know what's going on, two, you're easily tricked, or three, it was always just about like your pride. And I go, my guy won, so I'm happy now. But you don't tell us, not a single one of you can tell us that you have principles. You don't have principles. You will flip in an instant. As soon as Trump is doing something that goes against your principles, you're like, never mind, that was never my principle. I love Trump. He's winning.
We're still in April. As the war begins in Iran, Trump's inner circle finds a new way to cash in.
I'm not saying you can change your vote. I'm saying change your opinion. And look, if I was somebody who voted for Donald Trump and I advocated for him and I was this wrong, I would be going out of my way to undo that. As much as whatever I could do in my power, I would be undoing that. I'd be talking to my family. I'd be talking to my friends. That's why I have this job. That's why I'm here doing this every day. I was wrong for a long time. I worked for the GOP. I advocated for the GOP. I debated for the GOP. I worked in committees for the GOP. I did this for years. And I was wrong, and now I'm doing this. And yeah, now it's my job, and I get paid to do it, and that's great. And I'm happy that I get to do this full time for my job. But if I were somebody who was that adamant and thought I could vote for Trump, and even the people that are like, well, I had two shitty choices. No, you didn't. You did not have two shitty choices. You had Donald Trump and a black woman you didn't like. You can't point to a policy of hers that was terrifying. You didn't have two bad candidates. You had maybe uninspiring. Maybe you were not inspired by VP Harris. I don't know. But you did not have two bad candidates. You had one criminal credibly adjudicated to be a sex pest and also a felon, a convicted felon. And then you had VP Harris. You did not have two shitty options. You had one shitty option, and you pretended that Harris was somehow on the same level of shit as Donald Trump. So we won't even take that. That's not a real argument. Otherwise, if it is, like, tell us, what was the policy you were afraid of? Oh, she would have done bad. She's scared. You didn't have two shitty candidates. That's a lie. But I would be trying to undo that if I were you. It would eat me up to know that I voted for Donald Trump, especially with this, especially like if I held your principles. If I held the principles that you espouse and then kept supporting somebody who's the opposite of all the principles that I espouse, I would feel pretty goddamn dumb. I feel pretty shitty. I'd feel pretty shitty about myself. It'd be hard to look myself in the mirror if I was still here arguing for Donald Trump.
Place bets on prediction
Haley said, did you just say my name? I love your face. Thank you, Haley. Love your face too.
Markets or in futures markets based on the inside information they have about the
Amy said the right is a perfect example of bite off your nose to spite your face. Facts.
war. This is illegal war profiteering. Hours before Trump announces the first Iran ceasefire.
She was blending societal ideology with government. No vote. That's what every fucking candidate does. Every candidate does that. It just wasn't your societal ideology. Trump was running on trans people not playing in sports. Like, what do you tell? That's what they do. That's what candidates do. She thought different things of me. She wasn't a shitty candidate. She wasn't a felon. She's not a criminal. He was. And you knew that he was. And we all told you he was going to do this. We all told you he was going to do Project 2025. You're like, oh, he's not going to do Project 2025. He's going to abuse the presidency. He's going to use it to make his family rich. No, he's not going to do that. Now he's doing it. Well, Harris, though, she was blending her societal views with her political ones. Yeah, literally every single politician ever does that.
A bunch of investors likely...
She was installed. Who cares? Even if she was, I disagree with you. Even then, is that what... She was, we didn't get to choose her, so I'm going to vote for the felon sex pest. Like, keep going. Let's keep talking about all these things. Which of these things are worse than a felon sex pest? Democrats haven't had a primary since 2012. Fact, not a fact, actually. That's again, we keep telling... They had a primary in the 2024 election. Joe Biden got like 90% of the votes. But then he stepped down, and then anybody was eligible to step in and try and get the electors. And the electors all sided with Harris. They could have chosen Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips. Nobody else jumped in the race. So not a fact. No, it's not a fact. Watch. You know how I know it's not a fact? DNC primary 2016. Oh, there's the results from the DNC primary in 2016. It's a fact. If I say fact, then it's a fact. Yeah. And again, even if they hadn't had a primary since 2012, is that a good reason to vote for a sex pest felon?
Inside the White House placed approximately $950 million on bets that oil prices would fall. When later that day, Trump announced...
Also, Jay, why would we have a primary in 2012 when Obama was in office? We did. There's always a primary. Every year there's a primary. Even when you have even when the president is in office, there's a primary. And you're allowed to challenge him, which is what Dean Phillips was doing. That's what Marianne Williamson was doing. That's what RFK Jr. was doing. We had a primary while Joe Biden was in office. There's always primaries. Always, even when you're in office. The only person who didn't participate in the primaries, the only one, is Donald Trump. He didn't go to a single primary debate. Not one. He wouldn't show up. He was such a coward, he didn't show up. You guys don't get this. You don't get this argument. He didn't show up. He did absolutely fuck all. He didn't earn your vote. Wrong. All right, which debate did he show up to in the Republican primary then, Ziggy? Which one?
Announced the ceasefire that sent oil prices tumbling by 15%. Those investors got filthy rich. You can literally look at the pace of trades that day. There's this avalanche of trades that happen hours before Trump announces the ceasefire. That can only be because people had...
No politician's 100% truthful, but Trump always lies. True.
Inside information. This practice would continue to happen over and over and over. But why do they think they can get away with this? Why does anybody think that they can get away with this? So much of this is illegal, right? You would say to yourself, nobody would engage in that kind of naked illegal practice. Nobody would award contracts to the kids knowing that that doesn't pass legal muster. On April 10th, you figure out why they think they're going to get away with it. On April 10th...
Remind me again about the 2024 Democratic presidential primary debate. Who moderated it? 24. Do we do that? Do you usually do that when you have a sitting president? Like, did we do that in 2020 for the Republicans? I think there was a debate between Marianne Williamson and, I debated her. I don't know. Yeah. Here it is.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to College Convention put forth by New England College here in Manchester, New Hampshire.
And like always, what's normal, if you're the sitting president, you don't participate in these debates. It's like Trump didn't. Trump wasn't the sitting president, though, in 2024. He was a candidate, right? But you guys treated him like the president.
10th, Donald Trump makes an explicit promise that everybody engaged in this corruption will get away with it. Here is his quote on April 10th, as the pace of this corruption increases. Quote, "I will pardon everyone within 200 feet of the White House." So now you understand why people think
the Dems couldn't win with anybody. Well, they won with Joe Biden, and they've won every contested election since 2024. And again, this just goes to show you, Microbe, like you don't understand or care about any of this. You are a Donald Trump dick rider. This isn't about Republicans. It's literally about Donald Trump. Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden. Democrats have been dominating every election since Trump took office. They win all the fucking time. But this is the encapsulation of who you all have become. You have become Donald Trump dick riders. No principles, no facts. Just Donald Trump won in 2024. We will ignore everything else, and we're just going to keep saying that he's winning. It is bizarre to love a president like this. Fucking bizarre. I will never have this type of loyalty to a politician that you guys have. It is so strange to watch in real time. Like, I can't wait to tell my kid about this when she's older. Be like, you wouldn't believe what it was like covering Donald Trump. Like, Donald Trump would do something on Donald Trump consistently does something every day on TV that you watch, and you're like, Donald Trump did this thing, and then MAGA's like, no, he didn't. He didn't do that. I just watched it. You can watch it too. No, that's not what happened. It's so bizarre to be on this end of it and to watch just constantly in real time. You guys just like, no, I'm ignoring reality. It's going to be a very interesting chapter in the history books.
They can get away with it. This is reported on April 22nd, 27th. So we're still in April. Trump wants to get all his friends involved in the grift now. So Trump gives a no-bid $17 million contract to refurbish 2 fountains near the White House, including the reflecting pool. We're living with the consequences of this corruption right now, because we have a
Did it because he loves you. Yeah, Donald Trump's just like Jesus. He did all this for you.
reflecting pool.
He's doing all this fraud for you guys too. This is why he's given these millions of dollars to his friends and family. It's for you because he loves you.
This is a completely unqualified contractor who is already in over his head because he's involved in the ballroom, and he gets a new $17 million contract. Does it really cost $17 million to clean up fountains? The answer from the National Park Service itself is no. In fact, the National Park Service was planning to bid that contract out for 1/5.
All right, Microbe Joe, we'll give you this while this is going. 10 things. You said you can name 10 things that you hate that he did. We'll look for those and make that your next 10 comments. 10 things you hate that he did.
What Trump gave it to his friend for. But it was a no-bid contract. It just went to Donald Trump's friend. The value was wildly inflated. And so now Trump's buddy has an extra $14 million, more than the actual cost of the project. It's your money. This money doesn't grow on trees. This is taxpayer money. It's supposed to cost $3 million. He gave the contract for $17 million. We're still in April. Big Tobacco
Democrats are not in charge. Thanks, Ziggy.
Has wanted for years to break into
his line with Israel. I love that.
$6 billion flavored vape and e-cigarette market. But the FDA, of course, has had regulations to say that you can't sort of run back this old playbook.
Now we have Trump fucking kids over because the tobacco companies gave him money. Yeah, let's market to your kids. Let's get all your kids hooked on vapes. That's a good idea. Is that part of what you campaigned on? Is that part of it was making America great?
The tobacco companies marketing to kids. So we haven't allowed them to market these flavored vape products, these bubblegum flavored vape products. I have 2 teenagers. I know exactly what's going on. They are marketing these products to kids, and they weren't allowed to do it. But
thank you. Microbe Joe says also doesn't support his support of crypto scam coins, his manipulation of markets via tweets. Good.
The tobacco lobbyists.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Microbe Joe. I appreciate you being honest there. Now I would just say, like, do you think any of those things would have happened had Harris been president? Any of those? I think you could make an argument that Harris would have been soft on Israel. However, Biden was harder on Israel than Trump, so I think it would have been a little better. But I think you could argue that she also would have been very slow to act on Israel. I think you and I probably would have agreed if Harris was president that her capitulation to Israel was problematic.
Did the thing that we've talked about over and over again. They made a $5 million donation. And if you make a $5 million donation, you get a lunch with the president or a dinner with the president. So they get this lunch with the president, and they say to the president, just like the nursing homes executive said, I want the vape rule to be rescinded. Surrounded by these big tobacco representatives, President Trump, like at the moment, calls the FDA commissioner and tells them to rescind the regulations. He calls up Dr. Oz. Like, all this is happening immediately. Tells him to rescind the regulations. The FDA commissioner resigns. In protest, he said, in good conscience, he couldn't do this. He couldn't be part of this kind of corruption.
All this is corruption. All this is bad. Is there anybody here that can explain to me, any MAGA folks that can just explain to me why in the world the leader of your party, who makes every decision for your party, would choose to deregulate the flavored tobacco industry, or I don't know what they call it, the vape industry, and allow them to market in a way, like if you've ever been in a smoke shop, you can see, who's that marketing for? It's for kids. It's for younger people. In what world is this good? In what world is this something you voted for? Be honest about this. Ziggy, be honest about this. Dems poll at 24% here. Well, you must live in a very red area. That's great. But how's this good? Microbe Joe is backing a poison known as Roundup, and again, because he was paid for it. Microbe Joe, do you recognize that what we're saying here is that his decisions of what he does seems to be entirely based on what he gets paid to say, right? Not not paid to, like, it's not like he's a spokesperson, but they give him money and then he does whatever he wants, even if it's directly against your beliefs. Can you give me an example, Microbe Joe, of any other president in history who did something like all these things you're listing? Can you give me an example of anybody else who reversed course because of a donation that came through? Twitch Test is talking about Dems being failures, just like Jay does daily, and you're all attacking them. Yeah, I mean, the Democrats suck. They absolutely suck. I will just say this though, like I feel like I call balls and strikes pretty easily on the Democrats. I dislike most of them. What happened to Harris, and what happened to the Democratic Party in 2024, where Harris became the nominee, is entirely the fault of one person, and that's Joe Biden. He's entirely at fault for that, and he left us in a position where we didn't have any other choice. Joe Biden promised to be a one-term president. He went back on that promise. Then he went back on that promise, and he did it so late in the game that the primaries were over. And so there really was only one sensible choice there, and that was going to be Harris. And I also, calling balls and strikes, don't think that Joe Biden did that to set up Harris to be able to run. I don't think there were shenanigans. I think that Joe Biden didn't want to step down. And he had a bunch of advisors who were like, hey, you shouldn't step down because you're popular. And then the DNC saw that polling and they're like, oh, he is popular. This is actually, and then the popularity was waning. And then when he started stumbling over his words, then it just plummeted. And then all of a sudden, everybody turned on Joe Biden and Joe Biden stepped down. That's what happened. The reason that Republicans, you guys care so much about this is because you can't defend what we're doing here, like what we're showing you here. But I can tell you, as somebody who voted for Democrats, we recognize what happened. But you don't get to rewrite history to make it nefarious. It wasn't nefarious. It was arrogance, and it was going back on a promise from Joe Biden. That's what actually happened. So you can poke and prod all day long and be like, the Democrats played you. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Joe Biden was arrogant. Joe Biden didn't keep his promise. He deserves a ton of criticism for that. We should have had better options. And I also would say Harris wouldn't have been our nominee. That's a guess. Like, obviously, I can't say that unequivocally. Harris would not have won the primary. There are just, for whatever reason, there's a lot of people that aren't big fans. I probably would not have been a Harris supporter. I would have supported other people in the primary, just because of her proximity to the Biden administration at that time, like their capitulation to Israel. I didn't like that she was unwilling to be more progressive and instead fell back on defending the Biden administration. I understand why she did it, but I don't care. Like, I just want politicians to be honest and do the right thing. And the right thing is never to defend the administration. That's never the right thing. If the administration's wrong, or if you think you should go in a different direction, stand up and say it. And I don't think she would have done that. And I don't think she would have gained my respect as somebody who I felt like was going to have a very progressive agenda. And I don't know how the rest of you guys think. I think there's a lot of people in here who love Harris and probably would have supported her. I might even be in the minority there. I don't think that's what would have happened. But I can tell you that, like, I have never once spoken to a single solitary Democratic voter who feels like it was the DNC who pulled the wool over and didn't give us an opportunity at a primary. We all blame the right people. We blame Joe Biden. That's who's to blame. We blame him for not keeping his promise and dropping out too late. I don't blame Harris. Harris was the only choice that made any sense. That was our best choice. We took a flyer. I don't know if she wasn't necessarily ready for the moment. She had some missteps out of the gate. I think she ran a good campaign. I was not a fan. I saw her in person. I have a different opinion on her. I do think she has, like, there is something about her that, like, an energy that she brings that I haven't seen from other politicians. She's really bad on TV and she's really good in person. And I don't know how you fix that. But as bad as she is, when you guys have seen her on TV, and I would agree, she's not great on TV. She kind of is a little bit awkward. She laughs at weird moments. I don't care that her laugh's weird because I have a weird laugh. I like different laughs. In person, different energy. But like, stop trying to convince us that like we got fucked, because we didn't. Like, not in the way that you think, not in the way that there's like this big corruption machine in the DNC that made that happen. There's corruption in the DNC, certainly. They fucked over Bernie Sanders, but that's not what happened to us in 2024. So can we just drop that shit and get back to this corruption now? Again, none of these things would have happened under Harris. None. Zero. We also wouldn't have been in this war with Iran. No other president would have dragged us into this war. Just Trump. He's historically bad. He's historically corrupt. And if the best you could come up with is, you guys didn't have a primary, well, I think that goes to show just how fucking weak your argument is. Because none of us give a shit about that. Literally, none of us. Raise your hand, Dems that are in here. Have you ever spoken to another Democrat who was like, I can't believe they fucking did that to us? No, nobody thinks that, because we watched what happened. Yeah, you can go watch my shows. I was like, yeah, like I'm supporting Joe Biden, and yeah, I don't think that he's as degraded mentally as people are making it out to be. And then you can watch when we broadcast the debate in real time, and both Felice and I were like, whoa, this is worse than we thought. This is going to be a problem. And on that day, both of us were like, yeah, they should probably start looking at a replacement. And it took a couple weeks. But yeah, like you can watch us change our opinion. But what we didn't think at the time was that it was like some shifty little game that they played. We saw it. And then Harris was the only one that made any sense. So yeah, do we love the circumstances? No. But stop trying to convince us that it was something more than it was.
But on Friday, the FDA announced that it was bypassing all traditional rulemaking to adopt the exact policy that the tobacco executives asked for the weekend before. Less than a week. No rulemaking. FDA commissioner resigns. We're now on to May.
Madame Ray Lisa Dufal said, thank you for the dialogue. Appreciate it.
Not all the stories of the corruption in this White House require deep journalistic dives into obscure public records. Sometimes you can just log on to YouTube, where you can find the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy's family road trip reality show. Who is bankrolling?
I tried to watch it. It's terrible.
This stunt? Who's paying for the gas, the hotels, the cameras, filming his vacation? Not Duffy. It's Toyota, it's Boeing, it's United Airlines. It's all the companies that Secretary Duffy is responsible for regulating. Gas prices are going up. Transportation costs are going up. And the Secretary of Transportation is riding in snowmobiles in Montana, paid for by the companies he regulates.
A 5-minute mute for Greg. Greg, don't misspell a black woman's name on purpose. Whether you mean to do it racist or not, that's a stupid microaggression, and we'd like to end that. Just say people's names correctly. Okay, like if you want to call her one of her nicknames, fine, but don't, like, you just look like an idiot when you do that.
Decades ago, that scandal alone, companies you regulate paying for your vacations, would have resulted in a cabinet member resigning in disgrace.
Who would have defeated a sitting VP in a primary? I think, well, it just depends on who ran. Like, I think, not that I think this is the right person, but given that time period of where we were at and where the cultural divide was, I think that you could have, honestly, I think Tim Walz might have run. I think he would have been compelling. Josh Shapiro would have been a compelling candidate. I think that Gavin Newsom maybe needed that moment. I think that was his moment at that time. Like he would have been viewed as a younger Joe Biden. I don't think he's going to win the primary this time. That would have been somebody tough to deal with. Buttigieg could have been somebody tough to deal with. I mean, I would have loved to see Elizabeth Warren all the time. She's not. People fucking hate her. Trying to think who else. You guys have some other names? Yeah, Shapiro. But like Shapiro would have run into the same problem Harris did. He's like too supportive of Israel. But at the time, like if Biden would, just think about it. If Biden would have kept his promise to be a one-term president, Shapiro would have been really popular, because right after October 7th, the public sentiment largely was still in favor of Israel. And that's about like, that was 2023, right? That's about when we would have started. So for the first part, like he would have won a bunch of the early primaries, but he would have run into the same problem Harris did later on in supporting Israel. He would have had to pull back. But no, I just don't. I mean, we've seen her in a presidential primary before, and she was largely shelved by Biden. It's not like Biden was putting her in the spotlight. He wasn't giving her a lot of opportunities to shine. We had just gone through COVID. I don't know. I don't think she would have got the VP bump that you normally do. I don't know. Could be, but I could be wrong. Like, we're just guessing. I can only base that on my feelings of Harris.
My Republican colleagues know this. This didn't used to be acceptable. But in Trump's White House,
and thank you for the Antifa dues, dog lover.
Everyone has their hand out for a payday. It's encouraged. And then finally,
we did vote for her in the primary when the president steps down, the VP steps up. Yeah, of course, but of course, but it would have been interesting to see if it was an open primary.
We discover another monster corruption scheme. The market bets based on inside information have not, in fact, been limited to Trump's staff and friends. The entire time that Trump has been in office, we discover, he has not been putting his money into a blind trust. He has been personally signing off on thousands and thousands of individual trades. No previous president has done this. Here's an example of how it works. Early in the year, Trump buys $1 million of Dell stock. A couple days later, from the White House podium, he boosts the company, Dell, that he just bought stock in. A couple months later, he gives Dell a $10 billion defense contract with the Pentagon. That happens over and over again. The president buys stock, he publicly boosts the company, he gives government work. I know all this feels exhausting, 500 days of corruption, but we've never, ever seen this before. I only listed like half of the publicly disclosed incidents of corruption. And we just can't pretend that this is normal. I'm giving a half an hour to this because this is a serious, serious crisis. The pay-to-play schemes, the pardons for donors, the contracts for friends, the favors for Trump's children, the use of inside information to make money. This is not a disconnected series of scandals. This is a system.
This is getting choppy. Is it choppy for you guys there as well?
It's supposed to serve us. It is supposed to lower costs. It's supposed to protect our families, strengthen our schools, make life better for people. But Donald Trump believes that government exists to serve him, to make him richer, to protect.
I think it's just the video. Because am I choppy, or is it just this recording? Is the audio okay? Video's choppy. Audio's okay. I think it's just this. This was posted on Twitter. They have problems.
His friends, to reward his donors. This is why he doesn't have time for you. He doesn't have time to solve real problems because he's making money for himself and his friends. And he's betting that the corruption will be so constant that we stop hearing it, that the outrage will just turn into exhaustion. And the
Stacey says, my official request to make Jen's dating adventures on a weekly podcast. We could probably clip them and put them together each Friday if Jen wants to do that.
Exhaustion will just turn into acceptance. We can't let that happen. Because once corruption becomes normal, it becomes permanent. The White House is not a business opportunity. The presidency is not a license to steal from the American people. The government of the United States doesn't exist to make Donald Trump rich. It belongs to the American people. And after 5...
All right. So there we go. I don't know what we do. I think hopefully that picks off enough Trump people and people that don't want to vote for Trump. I think the midterms need to be a landslide. And if you're an American, even if you're not a progressive, what you need a landslide for progressives. You need meaningful change, because what they're running on right now is that they're going to clean up the government. And the people, for the record, the people who are running on getting money out of politics, they all have clean records. You can cry all you want. You can repeat dumbass Facebook memes that you've seen. AOC doesn't take corporate money. She's not corrupt. Bernie Sanders doesn't take corporate money. It's not corrupt. Ilhan Omar doesn't take corporate money. Not corrupt. It's interesting that you guys make up stories about them all the time. There's all these people who are running on getting money out of politics. They're putting their money where their mouth is, and they don't take outside money. Words, bud. Words. Please learn them. What do you think I'm doing? See, that's Jason. You are the epitome. You are the epitome. I can say things that are like, this happens every time. Every time we talk about AOC and I tell you true things about AOC, you guys don't have a response to that, so you laugh. And maybe you weren't laughing at that, but this is the general response. That's what people who don't have answers do. That's a tick. That's a projection. You don't have an answer. But it's so ingrained in you that she must be corrupt that you laugh at that. Go ahead. Pull up her net worth. 30 million is a hell of a whoopsie. Harris loss of spending. Yeah, cool. So trust the people that put their money where their mouth is. Instead, we just trust Republicans who will just keep doing the same thing. It's so incredibly corrupt. I want to show you just how pathetic and ill-informed people are. Ending temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants, which we're now back to, is we'll see what they decide to do with that. But now you have Republicans who don't talk to Trump because he doesn't talk to anybody, except for telling them what he wants them to say. Now people like Mark Wayne Mullen, who is the DHS secretary now, has to go on TV and explain why it's safe for Haitians to go back to Haiti, and he has a hard time doing that.
Obviously, you're correct that the T in TPS stands for temporary. The Trump administration's argument
That's right.
Is that this was only supposed to last 18 months. My understanding of how the process works is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security.
Coyote said, do I think that the more Democrats embrace socialism or any forms of Marxism, it will shrink your party? It does. It's expanding the party. I don't know. Like, I know for you, it probably seems like it should, but Democratic Socialists are the only political group that is gaining in popularity right now. They're doing really, really well. So maybe it could. I can't predict the future, but right now, adopting the policies of Democratic Socialists is the most popular thing you can do. Being a generic Democrat or generic Republican or MAGA, that is not a popular thing right now. So I don't know. I don't know how long that lasts. If Democratic Socialists get into office and they perform like Mom Donnie, it's going to become far more popular. Because Mom Donnie's doing an unbelievable job. And I'm going to say that, and a bunch of Republicans are going to talk about all the people that are leaving New York, and then I'm going to ask you for a name of people leaving New York that is hurting New Yorkers, and you won't have an answer for that. You're just going to freak out. Mom Donnie's doing an incredible job in New York City. And if they perform like that, like all the propaganda in the world won't beat them. If people start seeing that democratic socialism is working, great. Right now it's working, so they're very popular. Everybody else is getting less and less popular. So no, I do not think it will shrink. I think it will expand the party.
Has the discretion to extend it if the U.S. State Department says that the countries that these people are from are still considered unsafe, which is why they were afforded TPS status to begin with. Is it the position of the Trump administration that Haiti is a safe country to send these people to?
Well, we take a lot of things into consideration. Secretary Rubio, the president, and I have had multiple conversations about this. Obviously, it's
interesting that they take a lot of things into consideration, but never tell us what those things they're considering. It's not safe for people in Haiti right now, especially the people who fled.
The qualification isn't quite just that simple. And keep in mind, a lot of these individuals haven't been here 18 months. They've been here 18 years. Some of them have been here 20 years, 30 years. They've had plenty of time to reestablish their status inside the United States. They just chose not to. Then there's some that has been here underneath the Biden administration that took advantage of an open border. And those individuals didn't really come over here because they needed protective status. They came over here because they were taking advantage of a weak leadership. So what we want, and the president has made this very clear, those that are coming to this country legally, they need to be able to contribute to the United States, not be a burden on the taxpayers. And
so I don't know. Does anybody want to point to? If Mag, if you're here, is there something you can point to that shows me that Haitian immigrants are a burden to the taxpayers, like as a whole? Do you have it? I would love to hear that. While this is playing, can you give me some examples of how the Haitian immigrants are a burden?
So we are continuing looking at our temporary protective status. Those individuals that do need assistance because of the country they're in, we're always looking at them. There isn't a more generous country in the world than the United States.
Yes, okay, but I need an example, not just yes.
But we don't want people to take advantage of it.
Right, but do you maintain that it is safe in Haiti to send these people back?
Well, I think, like I said, Jake, this is a decision that's being made from the State Department, from myself and the president, and there's a lot of things that we look at when we take this in consideration.
To welfare countries, yes? I don't know what that means. What does that mean, to welfare's country?
It's not just one factor that plays into this.
The reason I ask is because I heard Stephen Miller, who's driving a lot of this, say that Haiti is safe for Haitians. And I just looked at the State Department's website, and they have a level 4 do not travel advisory for Haiti just from a few months ago, from April.
Here's a glimpse into how MAGA Republicans in Congress view themselves. It's not safe to travel to Haiti, according to our own government.
And it says, quote, violent crime is rampant. The expansion of gang, organized crime, and terrorist activity has led to widespread violence. Crimes involving firearms are common. Crimes include robbery, carjacking, sexual assault, and kidnappings for ransom. That doesn't sound safe to me.
Well, that do not travel is not for Haitians. That's do not travel for the United States, because they are kidnapping or trying to kidnap individuals from the United States because they feel like
Daycare and schools were filled up and our children can't register. Where? Give me an example, Mega. I need a town where the daycares and schools were filled up with Haitian immigrants so that your white children couldn't register. Give me a town. I'll look that up for you.
their family has the money to pay the ransom. We have do not travel in places in Mexico, or advisory warnings. In fact, if you go through our website in the State Department, you'll see there's advisories to a lot of places that are vacation destinations that we have advisories.
That's a good point, Casey. Most daycares are private.
On because
I think all daycares are private. Actually, I don't know if there's any. Maybe some states have some state-sponsored daycares where it's run through the state. I don't know of any.
Of the real risk to Americans. That doesn't mean it's a risk to the individuals that live there. So that isn't that advisory is to American citizens traveling to Haiti, not Haitians going back home.
I understand that, but based on everything,
Dogs and cats will feel safe in Springfield. Dogs and cats are already safe in Springfield. That was a lie. Can you give me a single example of somebody's dog or cat being eaten, John, in Springfield, or are you repeating more racist lies from J.D. Vance?
I've read, including the UN and Human Rights Watch, it doesn't sound safe for Haitians. More than 8,100 killings documented last year. Those weren't Americans. Haiti is among the top 5 countries with the highest rates of rape and sexual abuse, with more than 1,200 cases of sexual violence last year. That's not Americans. 1.4 million people have been displaced. Those aren't Americans.
So you can't explain to us why it's a problem that Haitian immigrants are here. You also can't tell us that Haitian immigrants will be safe if they're returned to their country. What are we left to assume that you think about Haitians? Your claims about them that they're eating people's pets, unfounded. The idea that your kids can't go to school because Haitians are in the community, also unfounded. $85% on welfare. Where's that number from, John? In what state? Where are you pulling that number? Pull this up. I mean, immigrants in general wind up on welfare more often because we have a problem in this country with paying people living wages. There is a CPS, ACS derived calculations from the Center of Immigration Studies that say 52% of households have used at least one major welfare program at some point. So that doesn't even mean that they're on it all the time. Just at one point, they've used 52% have used a major welfare program. Other analysis show different measures, migration policy, and Brookings report poverty and program use figures for Haitians closer to overall immigrant averages, 15 to 36%. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different studies that put them between 15 and 36%. Yeah, it feels like you made that number up. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that we have here. How come you guys can't tell us what the problem with Haitian immigrants here? Like, what is it? What's the problem? If you're not racist, what's the problem? 19 billion in fraud in Minneapolis so far. Were those Haitian immigrants? Wasn't the ringleader a white lady from born and raised in America? Let's see. There's Mohammed Abridashad, Mark Syed. Let's see where they're from. Damn, I said that word and my phone like lit up. That's crazy. Where's he from? I don't even know. Do we even know where he was born? I don't even have a place of birth here. Do you know? There's an issue with a lot of these people. What, these people? What do you mean these people? Oh, that was for MAGA. Okay. See, the thing is, like, I know you don't want to be called racist, and I want to try and give you the benefit of the doubt, but all the things that you're saying here aren't checking out. And you seem to be only going against this group of people, using racist tropes, bigoted tropes against them, like that they're eating pets. See how easy it is to just like be racist? Republicans can just be like, well, I'm not racist, they're eating your pets. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we must not be racist. But then they're not eating your pets. So if they're not eating your pets and you're still trying to get rid of them, then what is it? It's not racist to say that Haitians eat horse meat. Nobody's talking about horse meat. We're looking up, were there any documented instances of Haitian immigrants eating people's pets? See how that is the ultimate moving the goalpost. You need to apologize for that, Rough Frame. You need to apologize for that, please. The quote was that people's pets will feel safer. Were there Haitian immigrants that were eating people's horses? Lots of countries eat horse meat. Lots of countries eat dog meat. I have Filipino friends who have eaten dog meat where they were raised in the Philippines. They don't eat dog meat here. They've never tried to eat my dog. There were videos on it on Facebook before AI. No, where? Show them to us, Tom. Before AI. Guys, you couldn't fake videos before. The story, the big story that was on every national news outlet, it was one lady. She said, I was missing, I don't remember, I think it was a cat, might have been a dog, can't remember. And she's like, my Haitian neighbors, like, there was a barbecue, we looked in their pit and there were like bones that looked like dog bones. They ate our dog or cat, I can't remember which one it was. And then she found her dog or cat in her own basement like 3 days later. It was a cat, thank you. And that was the story. Rough Frame, you have to stay on subject. No. You have to stay on subject. Because, again, the claim is that people's pets were in danger. Is there any example that you can point to of Haitian immigrants eating people's pets? Again, I don't want to say this is racist. I would love for there to be a legitimate reason to say that Haitian immigrants in this country are causing a problem. But I'm asking you, and you can't give me any real reasons. Good point. Horses are killed for glue. When my horse died, I think there was like a factory we took it to, and they used the horse for glue. I'm sure they also kill them sometimes too, but that's not what happened here. They are illegal. They need to leave. No, they're not, you dumb fuck. They have temporary protected status, which means they are legally here. Try again. Uh-oh. So they're not illegal, and they're not eating people's pets. Now we're back to racism. No, you're not on subject. The subject is they're eating people's pets. You're talking about that they eat horse meat. Okay, Rough Frame. I've owned horses. In order for you to be on subject here, Rough Frame, it doesn't matter if they eat horse meat in Haiti. What the claim was that they were eating people's pets. Give me one example, Rough Frame, of Haitians eating someone's horse here in the United States. And go. Is Haitians a race? No, but you guys don't hate them because they're Haitian. You hate them because of the color of their skin. Yeah, we had horses growing up. I grew up riding horses. We had cows. We raised our own meat. tell an 8-year-old child that her horse is livestock. Shut the fuck up and answer my question, rough frame. Now you're pissing me off and you're being a little bit of a bitch. I've asked you a specific question like 5 times and you're just bouncing around. This is your last chance. Give me one example of a time of a Haitian immigrant eating somebody's horse, or say, I'm sorry, I have no examples. Or if you say something else, you get banned until tomorrow. We'll do a 24-hour ban for you. This is your chance. I've given you tons of chances here. How is it racist? Black Americans don't eat cats and dogs. I think maybe you should learn more about racism, my friend. It's crazy. It's crazy. Xenophobic then. Should we say xenophobic, bigoted? Are we tricking you on? Are you stuck on racism? I think the same people who were saying we should send back Haitian immigrants would have no problem if Trump came out and was like, everybody from African descent needs to leave. And he would probably use like some stupid IQ argument and you would just go with it. Well, yeah, they're hurting our country. It is racist. Did we get an answer from old boy? Where are you, Ruff? Did you give me an answer yet? All right, mods, watch for Ruff. If the next answer isn't I'm sorry or an example of a Haitian immigrant eating someone's horse, then just a 24-hour ban. Thank you for that. We got about 30 minutes left in the live. I'll update the gift goal, but if you want to help us knock out the remaining balance of that would be greatly appreciated. Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal are preferred because they take less of a cut, but super chats are welcome. And TikTok, you guys have been great today. I've only had one warning. Just got it. The live visibility is restricted. Thank you to the gifters on TikTok, Johnny D, Lara Lee, Yaya, Eve, and Kim for being the top 5 gifters over there. I appreciate it very, very much. I'm just looking up. Did we get an answer from Rufus McRuferson? Hopefully he's Googling it and then probably won't come back because he's not going to find an example of that. Okay. Here is Mike DeWine, who we referenced earlier, who, again, just showing a video of Mike DeWine doesn't mean that I'm a fan of Mike DeWine and everything he does, but he's dealing with the reality of what happens if you're going to suddenly take Haitian immigrants out of his state. And what's going to happen to those Haitian immigrants?
Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine. Governor, you just heard Secretary Mullen defend.
You sent the link? Where's the link? Why does this do this? This drives me nuts. I have to go like this. Oh, let me scroll up real quick. Rough. Where'd you send the link? I don't see a link. Send it again. Tell me what to search on YouTube. Yeah, you can't drop links. That's probably why. Tell me what to search on YouTube. We'll look it up.
The decision, you say it's a mistake. What's your take?
Well, I think it's a mistake for a number of reasons. First of all, to go back to what you were just discussing, you cannot fly into Port-au-Prince today. U.S. carriers are prohibited from going in there. They've extended that ban. Federal officials, the United States have extended that ban into September now, and it's been there for a long time. The reason they can't go in there is because these gang leaders who control a good part of Haiti today shoot at the planes when they come in. So that's certainly one thing. You've pointed out, advisories, heavy advisories. U.S. citizens do not go into Haiti. It's a very, very dangerous place. Just this last week, several more school children were killed just because gangs were shooting back and forth. The gangs control a significant part of Haiti. So it is clearly not safe. Anybody who has followed Haiti over a long, extended period of time knows that it's worse than it has, frankly, ever been, and certainly in recent memory. But the other point is it is not in the United States' interest, certainly not in Ohio's interest, to have people who are working every single day, who are supporting a family, who are buying houses, fixing up old houses, starting businesses, and then put deep roots in this country and really are contributing and yank them out. I mean, look at what the mayor of Springfield says. Mayor says that is a huge, huge mistake. They're contributing. Rob Rue says they're contributing greatly. Mistake to do that.
So the mayor of the town where they're at is like, hey, this is we shouldn't do this. They're contributing. We need it. If you remember Springfield, like Springfield was saved by Haitian immigrants. The people of Springfield weren't working. and that the employers in Springfield were having a hard time finding workers. And so I think a lot of if I remember correctly, a lot of the people that came from Springfield were maybe in like Tennessee or Kentucky or something. And they just started putting out the word like, we have jobs here. And that's how you wound up with so many Haitians in Springfield, because business owners didn't have anybody to hire. And so they came in and they kind of saved the town. YKSD said, people eat Oscar Mayer and nobody complains. That's a good point. Maybe we're all eating horses.
I would cite also the 2 Ohio congressmen who have probably the most Haitians, the Republicans who have the most Haitians in their district, voted in favor.
Did you see Dearborn, Michigan invasion? Yeah, those are just Muslim people, and you're afraid of them for no reason, you bitch. Toughen up. Oh no, there's lots of people here that look different than me. I must be scared. Don't be a bitch.
Of the extension of TPS. So what I would hope that the Trump administration would do is reconsider this. Look at how it's going to impact states like Ohio. In Ohio, the Haitians are working primarily in manufacturing. They're also working in the food area. But if you look at where they're working across the country.
Oh, sorry, Dolphin. I didn't see that. I've confirmed they're proposing 250 pardons in commemoration on the 250th, but no evidence of official plans stating people are paying $2 million. So Aaron was partially correct. I always look for receipts because I don't like any kind of misinformation. Yeah, DM that one to me. Whatever you found that confirms that. Obviously, I've been live, so I haven't seen that. Appreciate it, Dolphin.
Probably the most important area they're working is in healthcare. It's Haitians who many times are taking care of your mom or your dad who has Alzheimer's, taking care of family members.
I say that. You're talking about me, like Dearborn? Dude, Muslims don't scare me. My next door neighbors are Muslim. Literally right now, I'm not afraid. If I was the only white person in my entire neighborhood and everybody else was Muslim, and they wore Muslim garb and they looked like they were all from the Middle East, I would not give a single solitary fuck. I don't know why you guys are afraid of. What are you afraid of Muslims for? I legitimately, I'm far more afraid. In like most of the crime that's committed in my city is Christians. I don't get. Like, I'd be happy to live with Muslims. Amy said Dearborn has the second lowest crime of all the cities in Michigan. They're taking our crime. They're taking away our crime rates. Look at our crime rates plummeting. How dare they come in and change our culture in Michigan?
Who might be in a nursing home.
This shows how stupid I am, that I'm not afraid of Muslims. Yeah, Tom, it shows that you're a bitch. That's what it shows.
You should be very afraid of the Muslims. If you're not afraid of Muslims, then you're very stupid. I'm Tom. I'm afraid of Muslims, which makes me smart.
No, you're a bitch, bud. Toughen up.
To say we're going to pull all of those out, it's just not in our own self-interest.
Yeah, we're brainwashed because we're not terrified of Muslims. All right, Tom. I'm so afraid. It's gonna be all right, Tom. You're gonna be a-okay. With your personality, nobody's gonna want to talk to you anyways. Don't worry. They're not even gonna try and be your friend. They don't give a shit about you. You have the personality of a dry church fart. Okay. What time is it? It's 12:35. Okay, we got a little time. I want to go. Yeah, I want to end it here. This is another more perfect union. We'll end it here. And this kind of expands on what we've been talking about. And for Tom, you scared little bitch, while you're being afraid of black and brown people and immigrants and trans people, the people that are feeding you full of that hysteria are quietly buying up the government and influence so that they can run their own countries and own this government. They realized at some point there were a lot of dumbasses like Tom who could just be scared into submission and who would be easily distracted by shit that doesn't affect them at all, while shit that does affect them takes place in front of their eyes, but they don't care about it because they're too busy being afraid of black and brown people. And so, Tom, why don't you pay attention to this? And you just tell me if I should be more worried about Muslims publicly praying or oligarchs buying up U.S. cities and controlling our government.
The weirdest stories that I've ever looked into. It's about a once fringe movement.
Indonesia has one of the lowest violent crime rates globally, with a homicide rate of 0.4 per 100,000 people, 87% Muslim. Yeah. It's worse there. It's scarier there, Amy. This is the part that you're not getting, Amy. And I agree with you, but Tom's right. It doesn't matter if the crime rate is lower. they're Muslim. So you have to be scared. That's what Tom's telling you. You can stop using stats against Tom's arguments, because Tom needs you to be scared by a hijab. That's the scariest thing for him. I don't think Tom has a job, by the way. He's here every day. So stop using stats, Amy. How dare you? Just be afraid of people for what they look like.
Among the tech elite that aims to replace governments entirely with corporations. Privatized societies run by CEOs, built for profit, not for people. Almost like they wanted their own little worlds, playlands, built.
Our daily, Stacey said, Daily, thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it. And big W for Tim for the $50 over on Venmo. Said, RTP, I value your hard work, thoughts, and angles for current events. Nobody does it better. That is high praise. Thank you very much. Nighthawk said, keep the pressure up. These people are starting to see the light. Fun long-form insult I stole from the German parliament. The clitoris has over 3,000 nerve endings. It is a great achievement that you are more sensitive than that.
Just for them, based on their.
That's you, Tom. And thank you, Travacal, for the gifted subs over on Twitch.
Desires. I eventually pulled away from the story because it seemed a little more silly than anything to be concerned about. But then I realized they might already be getting their way. Just look at Doge and Palantir replacing or breaking the basics of the government. The plans for a futuristic, privatized new Gaza. AI infrastructure growth that seems immune to public opinion. And
sorry, Stacey, my bad.
Invasions of countries seemingly at random.
A new power structure in society that will overcome the existing democratic power structures. When billionaires suddenly have a tremendous amount of power and democracy has been proven to be exceedingly vulnerable.
So I decided.
Michael, such a good point. Cities owned by corporations. When would you see that before? Company stores and company towns in coal country. Yeah. And what did we do? What did the country do as a whole when it was clear that corporations and the rich had bought up everything? We revolted. And for 50 years, conservatives didn't have any power. And we expanded social spending, and we expanded access to education. We expanded access to medical care. We expanded access to affordable housing. We expanded access to workers' rights. And that's where we're about to be. I imagine Tom, just like 10 years from now, I really do think we should have let the corporations run everything. I don't like this single-payer healthcare. I don't like that my healthcare is half the cost and I can see whatever doctor I want. I don't have a copay and a deductible. I don't like that American workers are now being paid fair wages while the billionaires aren't allowed to suck up all the wealth. We really should have just given them everything. They scared me into submission, and now I'm scared that there's nobody to scare me into submission.
To dig back in. What is this movement? Where did it come from? How did the people involved get so powerful? Where is it going? And importantly, what can we do to stop it?
Great.
Let's go back to the weird origins of all this. In 2008, Peter Thiel first got involved in philanthropy, if you can call it that. He opened the Thiel Foundation, a nonprofit that invested in building the world Peter Thiel believed in. And one big investment sticks out: the Seasteading Institute. The Seasteading Institute was started by Patry Friedman.
So I'm pointing out once again, if you've been watching the show, shout out More Perfect Union. They do incredible work. We were here about a year and a half before More Perfect Union talking about seasteading. So for a lot of you that have been watching for a while, this is nothing new.
Son of Milton Friedman, the famous economist who gave politicians the academic backing to rip off the global working class. The goal of TSI was to build self-sustaining societies at sea, ruled by new governments on newly constructed land. This was particularly appealing to libertarians who wanted to escape the constraints of modern governance.
The question of whether seasteading is...
I'm not going to make it to the end. I got to pee. I'll be right back. Enjoy.
...desirable or possible, in my mind, is not even relevant. It is absolutely necessary.
Peter Thiel provided the seed money for this project and set up TSI with some office space in a conference room in the Palantir office. He also hooked Friedman up with one of the co-founders, Joe Lonsdale.
You know, we're the guys who create institutions that are changing the world, and we've changed a lot of industries so far here in Silicon Valley, but we haven't been able to change the government. That's a pretty hard one.
Silicon Valley changing the government is exactly what Thiel wanted. I spoke with one of the people who's been following the rise of this movement better than anyone else, Gil Duran, journalist and author of The Nerd Reich, to get a better understanding of the philosophy behind all of this.
There's a long history of people seeking to escape democratic societies or else to bring back monarchy or authoritarianism. In 1997, there was a book that came out called The Sovereign Individual. It argued that in the 21st century, two technologies would result basically in the overthrow of democracy and the demise of nations like the United States. Cybercurrency, which we would call crypto today, and the other one was advanced automation that would create a world without jobs, and that wealthy individuals who were savvy investors could profit from this coming doom and prepare for it by making the right investments. This book had a major impact on Peter Thiel.
And of course,
Fuzgasm wants us to remember, if you're in Colorado, friendly reminder that primaries end today and Julie Gonzalez doesn't take APAC money. Thanks, Fuzgasm.
It influenced the people Thiel was paying. Joe Lonsdale got to work. He started a nonprofit, California Common Sense, allegedly dedicated to transparency in government spending, so that voters could make a difference if they found things they were unhappy with. On the surface, that sounds great, but two founders of that nonprofit started a for-profit, OpenGov. OpenGov is a software service for government agencies to manage data. The idea of replacing democratic processes in the hands of all of us with technology in the hands of few was becoming less fringe. And other nonprofits with similar goals started popping up.
But while the idea of using technology to make a decentralized country had some illustrious backers in the mid-2010s.
I'm going to leverage technology to create a new country. And yes, I did.
Yeah, I wonder why they all want their own countries, these fucking sex criminals. I wonder.
Say country, not company.
It never really materialized.
I mean, you guys, MAGA, you understand that you and all the backers of the MAGA movement, you're just supporting Epstein 2.0, right? You know that, like, Jared Kushner, Peter Thiel, this is just Epstein 2.0, right? I don't know how you haven't realized this yet. You're literally covering up the Epstein files. She's in a minimum security prison where she gets benefits. Nobody will testify. The government that you voted for is actively, and a court just ruled today that they have to release the rest of the files that they're hiding from you. Files that specifically name Donald Trump over and over and over again. This is your party. And I don't, for the life of me, I can't figure out why the support, other than, again, I don't think you were ever really in this for the ideas or for the principles or for the betterment of the country. You just I'm Team Trump. And so when Team Trump is just clearly Team Epstein, you're like, well, fuck it. We'll stick around and pretend that we're not.
Honest.
What do I think Biden was? He's in the files. He's not in the files. Crowder, are you aware that there is not a single accusation against Joe Biden in the Epstein files? In fact, the only mentions of Joe Biden ever in the Epstein files are like Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein talking back and forth while Steve Bannon was one of Trump's top advisors about how much they didn't like Biden. Clinton's a piece of shit. Yeah, I'm with you. Clinton's in the Epstein files. I agree with you. Clinton's part of this group too. Clinton and Trump. Remember, Clinton and Trump ran in the same circles. They were friends. Yeah, I'll keep that same energy. Now you take that energy. Now you do it, Cap. Donald Trump is Team Epstein. Say it. Write in the comments. Donald Trump is Team Epstein. I'll say it. Bill Clinton's Team Epstein. Now you say Donald Trump is Team Epstein. All you MAGA, just admit it right now. Trump's Team Epstein. We're Team Epstein. We are the Epstein class. Cap, I got to ban you for 24 hours if I do it and you don't. Just so we're clear, you got to say Trump is Team Epstein.
Serious level. But the think tanks would herald a few successful versions of their privatization plan.
Like Sandy Springs, Georgia, famously the first city in America to privatize nearly all government services. It was the darling of the libertarian press. Everything for
My view group no longer accepted by the left or the right. It's bound time you become Republican. No, I'm not. No, I can read, dude. I don't need to be a Republican. I can read. I do math. I like data. There's no place for me in the Republican Party. What am I going to do? If I show up, I'm like, today I read something. Boo! Boo! I was doing the math on this proposal. Boo! Get him the fuck out of here. Yeah, there's no place for me in the Republican Party.
Nothing public, and a consulting firm making a little cash off the taxpayers at every juncture. Those extra taxes for corporate profit.
Cap, you bitch. Listen, man. You bitch. You absolute bitch. I'm out. You coward. It doesn't hurt us. No, none of us care about Bill Clinton, though, so it doesn't hurt us. I don't know if you think you pulled one over, but yeah, it's sad.
Profit started adding up, though. Eventually, Sandy Springs unprivatized, saving taxpayers millions of dollars a year.
There are also nascent...
Mom Donnie is replacing me. I like Mom Donnie, but he's not doing he's a mayor. I'm just a lowly live streamer. He's not. If Mom Donnie got into live streaming and held a live stream at the same time as me, then yeah, we might have a discussion of like, I need to either switch careers or switch times, because I think he would win. But I like Mom Donnie. I'm a big fan of Mom Donnie.
Communities focused on Christian values that the network state media heralds.
Battleground.
Jamar says, merci. Jennifer, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo as well.
Washington, where a data center billionaire is buying up all the property to own the town. The mayor is on his payroll. And Highland Rim, a series of developments in Appalachia run by the investment firm New Founding.
Cool.
And that's not even including the California Forever Project.
The California Forever Project is fucking insane. We've covered this one before. I don't know how much they'll cover, so I might add some.
Tech City in Solano County, funded by Mark Andreessen, Reid Hoffman, Sam Altman, and other billionaires. But what if this was never really about these little mini-governments? Here's Peter Thiel saying the quiet part out loud.
We don't talk enough about Howard Lutnick. I agree, Linda. And somehow we also talk too much about Howard Lutnick. Somehow both of those statements are true. I don't know how they are, but they are.
In 2010.
Technology
Thanks, Dolphin.
is
I'll read it
this
when we're done.
incredible alternative to politics. And
all right, RTP, you ready, little lady? Florida's illegal horse meat market thriving as horse owners fear danger for their... Oh, Ruff, is Springfield, Ohio in Florida? We were talking about people eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. You called me little lady and said, Florida's illegal horse meat market thriving as horse owners fear danger for their pets. I will pull this up, but I mean, I do think this kind of proves my point that the pets in Springfield were not at risk. That's tough, man. You have to admit that's maybe you don't know. Do you not know that Florida and Ohio are different states? I'll happily pull it up, but do you support Mamdani because he's going to help eliminate the Israeli problem? I don't think Mamdani has any effect on foreign policy. He's a mayor of New York City. So I don't know what you mean by the Israeli problem, but we share the same view on the Israeli government, I think. But no, I don't support him for that. I like what he's doing in New York City. I like that he's for working class people.
the task in this world where politics has become so broken and so dysfunctional is to find a way to escape from it.
Tech instead of politics. We already had Doge and Palantir becoming the operating system of the United States, with a stated goal of being more powerful than the governments using it.
How can we help the government stop the bad guys while also putting systems in place to make sure nobody within the government was doing anything inappropriate? So you have to have systems that watch the watchers.
After leaving Palantir, Lonsdale, through his firm 8VC, continued investments in what's called GovTech, tech for government clients. That's surveillance tech, AI drones, AI weapons, even tech to replace 911 with AI.
Fuck the surveillance state. Fuck the drone surveillance state. You guys want any of this? This is who's sponsoring you guys. This is who's like not sponsoring. This is who's paying for that military parade. These are the ones lining Trump's pockets. He's giving contracts to, and it's private companies that want to surveil you. Is this honest? This is what you voted for? MAGA? Is this what you wanted? Crazy, man. He got you so afraid of trans people that you're like, you have to watch our every move and let the cities be privatized. Let the capitalists decide our fate. Okay.
All aim to replace, privatize, and profit from tasks normally attributed to democratically accountable officials.
What's happening now, though, is that the companies are becoming more powerful than the governments they serve. When we suddenly have all these billionaire oligarchs spending so much money, they were able to actually capture the federal government with Trump. So it's this interesting moment now where we're getting a glimpse of what government by technology company would look like.
And Lonsdale is working to convince you that we need this. by making you scared. Lonsdale founded the Cicero Institute, a think tank that pushes anti-homeless messaging. Not anti-homelessness messaging, but messaging attacking the homeless themselves. And even legislation creating concentration camps where unhoused people would do forced labor.
We've been overly spied on since the invention of the internet. But my question is this what you voted for? I'm not asking if, like, I would like to do less spying. Saying that we've been spied on is not a good reason to then give private companies the ability to spy on us even more. Right?
Actually can go into states. You can, like, partner with governors. You could pass laws.
I don't even know. Sonia, I love you so much for saying that. Arizona, we need to keep out Biggs, Siscomani, Elijah Norton. We have enough problems. We don't need more problems. We need to protect our Social Security. Fuck Andy Biggs, always and forever. Andy Biggs is a big dumb bitch. Worst politician in America. And there's no way for me to quantify that. He's just the one I hate the most. And goddamn does he suck. In every way, he sucks. I'm starting to believe that the Publishers Clearinghouse was rigged so that Andy Biggs could become a politician. I have no proof of that, but I'm gonna state it as fact.
You know, Cicero's in 15 states. We're getting dozens of laws passed, and then we're gonna teach people that and go to the national level.
Riling people up is definitely part of their game plan. That's what we saw in the San Francisco recalls. San Francisco had a spike in crime during the pandemic, but so did almost every big city in the United States.
You're waiting for an apology? Rough frame. I told you that, okay. Here's your fucking story. This is in Florida, which is a different state. And we were talking about Haitian immigrants. So this story takes place in a different state. But let's see, maybe it's Haitian immigrants, because the argument was Haitian immigrants are eating people's horses. Mary Pritchard took a call at work 4 years ago, didn't have to hear the caller's words. She already knew in her gut when she saw the caller ID that her worst fear, images from her own haunting nightmares, had become reality. After moving back to Ocala with her horse, Frosty, she'd been horrified by reports of horses in the area being stolen and butchered for meat. Fear gripped her. Could it happen to Frosty? Surely not, she reassured herself. But then came the phone call from a friend who was caring for the quarter horse. I knew it was a gut feeling. She never calls me at work. Thieves had come in the night. The friend told her in a halting voice, as gently as possible, they cut the fence and slaughtered Frosty for meat. Which is one of more than thousands of horse owners across the state of Florida who share the fear of losing their beloved equine. More than 7,400 Facebook users share information, keeping this sounds like a very Florida problem, and I'm waiting for the Haitians. Florida is the epicenter of the horse meat market. Of course, Florida is. Everything, like, Florida is the criminal hub of the country. Tens of thousands of slaughters. Most of the time it goes unnoticed by the crime of horse slaughter, law enforcement, yada, yada. I'm looking just for the word Haitian. In Miami-Dade County, where demand for horse meat is thought to be the greatest in the state, only a few cases of horse slaughter reported each year by law enforcement. Was there a part of this that I missed where people who got temporary protected status coming from Haiti were eating people's pets? Because that's what this argument is about. People with TPS eating pets, and that's why they need to be returned to Haiti. So this is just a story that people are killing horses? There's no way you're asking for an apology for this. There's no way. There's no way. So is it Cubans, Creole people? I don't know. It doesn't even say that most of the demand for the black market meats in South Florida. Occurs in slaughterhouses. Eladio Garcia Gasca. That doesn't sound. Go get recent convictions. Eladio Garcia Gasca. Call me crazy. Don't think that is a Haitian immigrant. We can see who that is. Let's see. Let's see. That's this person. Manatee County man. That's a pretty Hispanic name. I doubt. I'm just going to take a wager that that's not a Haitian immigrant. Who else here? It takes 2 hours. Let's see, but that's what they get for $20 to $40 per pound. Yeah, this didn't prove your point at all. It was a wrong state and not Haitian immigrants under TPS. So nice, dude. I'm glad we stopped it for that. I'm glad we stopped this great video by More Perfect Union for that. That's crazy.
Only in San Francisco, which has extremely low crime rates compared to most cities in red states, did they create this massive panic using social media and doom influencers to convince everybody that everything was worse than it had ever been.
And as Lonsdale got into nonprofits and think tanks, Patrice Friedman, remember him, Milton Friedman's grandson, started his
In Haiti, horse meat's a delicacy. You wouldn't know that because you haven't left the States. I have left the States. I've never gone to Haiti, but I followed the arrest reports. It's not just Haitians. It's not Haitians at all. It's actually not. That's the point. We were talking about Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants under TPS. That was the whole story, bud. This is tough, bud. Are horses in Springfield, Ohio, in danger of being eaten by Haitian immigrants? Ruff sends us a story from Florida where a non-Haitian immigrant killed a horse and is like, see, gotcha. It's assholes like me that make Trump great. Yeah, but this is the thing. I agree that you think I'm an asshole. And there's a lot of people that think I'm an asshole. And the reason you think I'm an asshole is because I kept asking you questions. And we've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. The worst thing you can do to MAGA is keep asking questions, because everybody turns out just like you, Ruff. You think you have an explanation, you don't. I ask for a source, you can't come up with a source. When you finally do have a source, it is related to horse meat and not Haitian immigrants and TPS, which is what we were talking about. And then I point out that that doesn't prove anything, and you go, this is why I voted for Trump. And I agree with you. You and a lot of people like you voted for Trump because you're fucking stupid and arrogant. And it bothers you when you're stupid and arrogant and people don't just buy your shit, because you're surrounded by people just like you who don't demand anything other than a gut feeling to believe something. And that's what happened today. So I agree with you. I agree that I probably pushed some people to be more excited about Trump. You were going to vote for Trump anyways. You were always going to vote for Trump. But like, what do you want? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to coddle stupidity? Am I supposed to pretend that what you said made fucking sense so that you'll vote for Democrats? Do I need to lie to you? Do I need to gentle parent you? Well, it was a good try. Everybody in the chat, we'll just do this. I apologize, Rough Frame. You're right. You nailed it. We're all going to say, good job, buddy. Everybody in the chat, good job, buddy, to Rough Frame. Or nice try, or E for effort, something like that. Well, I appreciate that you tried. I'll give you that. You gave it your best effort. That was literally the best that you were going to come up with, and we applaud that. You spent a lot of time searching for something horse-related. It had absolutely nothing to fucking do with the story that we were covering, but you did link horses. And so for that, that's a MAGA A. That's a 4.0 MAGA. That's top shelf MAGA. This one says horse, and this one says horse. That's two horses. Horse is the same. You thought we were playing a game of match the word. And instead, we were trying to get you to give a source for the claim that people in Springfield, Ohio, were having Haitian immigrants eat their horses. But you did. It was a really good try. It's literally, it was the best you could do. And so thank you. And we hope you come back.
Own VC firm with backing from Peter Thiel called Pronomos Capital, existing entirely for investing in privatized governments. In Honduras, Pronomos invested in the first government run entirely by a for-profit corporation, Prospera.
Prospera is this little enclave on the island of Roatan in Honduras that claims to be its own little charter city that was funded by American venture capitalists and has been touted as the flagship project of the network state movement.
But the real flagship project is something bigger.
Crazy. Where in Make America Great are you offended? That's such a MAGA question. That doesn't even make sense.
The entire United States government. It shows in policy. Remember the whole thing about taking over Greenland? That idea emerged and was celebrated by the people we've been talking about.
I think having a frontier is very healthy. I think part of America being great is that it's growing and creating more wealth for everyone. If the people in Greenland want to be part of us, if we can use those resources better and make sure Russia and China don't get advantages in the Arctic.
The Freedom City as a name didn't really gain
this
momentum.
is populism. Yeah, that's what this is. This is populism.
The idea
Trump's a populist.
Is there. And the influence in the administration is clear. Joe Lonsdale helped staff up the Trump administration, and just recently accompanied administration officials to the Philippines.
Never voted Republican in your life, but now you will. Thanks for Ruff is now going to vote Republican because he couldn't make a solid point. That's the encapsulation of Republicans right there. It's not fair that I'm not right. I really wanted to be right. And now that I'm not right, I'm going to vote Republicans to show you. Okay. Yeah, like we already know that. Right? They do studies on this. The uneducated people, the people who don't do research, they overwhelmingly vote Republican. Like the lazy thinkers, people who don't ever like question their own beliefs, they just have big feelings. You're literally saying I'm going to vote for Republicans now because your feelings got hurt, bud. We got to toughen the fuck up. Hopefully you live in Florida where your vote doesn't really matter, but
Well, this guy proved me wrong, and now I'm going to vote for Republican. I'll show you.
New regulatory zone.
Just last week, we signed a historic deal with the Philippines, 4,000 acres, right next to Subic Bay, where we're going to build a first of its kind.
Now Stein is who? Jill Stein? Yeah, she wasn't a Democrat either.
AI native industrial park.
But I was there for a day in the Philippines with everyone. They're excited what you guys are doing.
That sounds a lot like a startup city. They've also embedded themselves with the rest of the right-wing movement.
I could not have envisioned that J.D. Vance, a Peter Thiel protege, would be the vice president of the United States. And so when Vance got onto the ticket, then it became real that this stuff could travel to the White House. In September 2024, there was a conference at Fort Mason in San Francisco called Reboot 2024. And its website announced that we are...
Don't start a war if you aren't prepared to lose like Trump.
Now in a new reality, and that Silicon Valley was waking up and about to become this powerful force in politics. And the guest speaker was Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation, who is the guy who had shepherded Project 2025. So here you had tech VCs in San Francisco and Kevin Roberts in the same venue proclaiming the new reality. And the new reality is where we are today.
And that's showing in actual policy, like the administration's quietly announced plans for maritime prosperity zones, districts on American soil with fewer regulations for corporations to build ships and reinvigorate the industrial base. Then there's the New American Industrial Alliance, a tech industry interest group, pushing for unrestricted data center growth. They were listed as co-sponsors of the Blueprint for America, lobbying for prosperity zones on American soil, a plan to sell federal and public land to private companies to build low-regulation, low-tax havens for progress. Their co-sponsor on the blueprint was the company behind Prospera.
The guy that you voted for, he took money from these people who want to be able to just like buy their own cities and then control what you do and have you live in a police state. That's freedom, baby. We're patriots.
In Honduras, whose lobbying disclosures show they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars pushing for prosperity zones. But they also spent big on begging the American government for handouts of your money. They've lobbied on refunding the U.S. International Development Financial Corporation, a government organization run by Epstein associate Ben Black that uses tax dollars to invest in American companies abroad. That's privatized foreign aid. And
when you said they pretended to care about this stuff, I don't think it's pretending. They were told to care and they cared, and now they're told not to care, so they don't care. I don't think it was pretending. They just react to what they're told to do, and then they do it. And when it changes, they don't even notice. I think most of the MAGA people that we talk to, they have no idea that they've changed all their views. They're just like, no, this is what Trump says. We're just Trump people. We just do what Trump says.
Finally get their way.
Black went to Honduras and promised investment in real estate and technology there, including an investment in La Ceiba, which is slated to be absorbed by Prospera.
But it's more than just government handouts.
And just a reminder here that here in Honduras,
there, including
this is why Trump pardoned the Honduran president. And now Trump and this administration are working behind the scenes using, diplomats and probably the CIA to get Hernandez reinstalled as the leader of Honduras so that American billionaires can go build private cities there. Now, he was the one, remember, who was trying to kill Americans by sending drugs, like trafficking drugs. And he was convicted and found guilty of trafficking drugs, which is the very thing that Trump ran on, right? Like, we're going to stop that. And then Trump pardoned him so that he can go back to Honduras, regain power, and sell off the cities to Trump's rich donors. Isn't that so cool? Isn't that so America first?
An investment in La Ceiba, which is slated to be absorbed by Prospera.
But it's more than just government handouts. It's war crimes.
So we did a master plan, and we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential, and this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones.
It was sort of insane to see it all come together in this way. But again, wherever you look these days with Trump or with these tech guys, there's always the idea of a new city that they're proposing. And it's not clear why we need these new cities. You know, Gaza should be rebuilt for the Palestinians, but
yeah, just genocide them away and then build a new city. That's what you guys are just team oligarch. For real? That's what you voted for? For a Gazan genocide so that some rich people could build a beachfront property there?
These guys see it as an opportunity.
The master plan was done in 2022. That's right. It was the very first time I got banned off of YouTube was when we showed that video of the Israeli plan to build out Gaza. And that was the very first time we got banned on YouTube. It took like a month. And the video was never restored. And now that video is removed from the internet, the one we used. Yeah. This was a plan long before Trump took office. It didn't just happen. This wasn't a war in Gaza. This was planned. They wanted an escalation. There's credible evidence that they helped facilitate October 7th. That's a conspiracy theory that I can't prove, so I'm not going to say that I can prove that. But the fact that there was a plan to have other countries come in and invest, including America, in Gaza, and then all of a sudden we had this war where we had to carpet bomb Gaza and do a genocide. Yeah, these people are evil, and they bought your party. They bought a vice president, and they found Donald Trump, who was just the most transactional human on earth. And they're like, hey, dude, we'll give you a bunch of money. We'll make you rich and powerful. And he's like, okay, go ahead and do your thing. And now they're just doing their thing.
Opportunity to take the land. And so that shows you the degree to which this thinking is starting to imbue everything that they do.
Look at how the people in this fringe movement reacted to other invasions. In 2019, Mark Lutter, leader of a Peter Thiel-funded New City think tank, said that overthrowing the Venezuelan government would be an opportunity for these projects. And when the invasion did happen, Lutter suggested America establish a Florida or Texas-style government there. He cites America paying for a wholesale development plan after regime change, which is exactly...
Did we do regime change in Venezuela? Oh, we did? Oh, weird. How did they know that was going to happen?
Exactly what we're doing in Iran today, to the tune of $300 billion. Palmer Luckey, Lonsdale and Thiel associate and founder of AI defense contractor Anduril, pictured here in cosplay, suggested a privatized city on Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, which President Trump also...
And aren't we talking about taking over Cuba now? Oh, weird. Weird. How come these guys seem to be so far ahead of our government? They always know what our government's going to do before our government does. Couldn't be because they're paying our government to do what they want, right?
Threatened with invasion.
Again, nobody wants this. They know that. That's why they hate populism. That's why they hate democratic representation. Despite all of this being couched in freedom.
What they're asking for is to exit entirely from any government structure. But that's just not how it works, especially when most of these guys are government contractors and are still wanting to have the benefits of our society without having the responsibilities of our society.
Yeah,
these are people who don't like being told no. They're angry at the pushback against data centers, that we don't want AI to take over everything, that no one supports annihilating a civilization to replace it with one they can profit from.
People need to understand that the billionaires have become radicalized against democracy, and they're in the process of using everything they have to try to destroy it. And that's the battle of our moment. That's the battle of our time.
It's not too late to push back. Public response to data centers works. Many of the governance as a service startups are starting their work in towns and states, where you can still have a voice to stop them. The billionaire class wants to turn your home into their playland. Completely change how everything is...
We gotta give it to them, though, because they got a red hat on. They love Trump, we love Trump, so they can have all the power. It's okay.
To funnel more wealth to themselves, create chaos, and then when everything is all fucked up, walk away with their winnings to their own private enclaves, all under the guise of fixing a broken government.
But the guy who made this video is pro-mass immigration. He's not worried about tech oligarchs buying everything. It's just he just wants mass immigration. Down goes TikTok. All right, we just lost TikTok for this. You guys will go so far out of your way to just like not know anything. I don't want to address this. It's uncomfortable. So I'm just going to say whoever made this likes mass migration. It's not. They're not even talking about immigration. It's crazy. This is about Americans buying American land from the government and creating their own governments. But what about the trans people? It's probably trans people. I bet it's trans people.
A government that they broke. And yeah, sure, the government is broken. But it's not because of democracy or lack of corporate privatization. It's because of corporate power. We need more democracy and less corporate control.
Yeah, how did that get us banned on TikTok? That's crazy. That's a wild one. All right. We almost made it. We were there. We were so there. I was just about to tell our TikTok gifters thank you. They did a great job today, but then it got taken down. So I can't even say who I don't think. Let me look, see if I can see the top 5 gifters. If you guys are still here, I cannot. That sucks. So thank you over on TikTok. Hopefully we'll get back. I assume we'll win that appeal. I can't imagine what we lost that one for. Jen, did I miss any comments?
It was misinformation. I just put in the appeal.
All right.
No, that's all.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think not on my end. I don't think.
Okay. Any last words from you?
No.
All right.
I'm good to go.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you. We will see you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube or Twitch, and maybe on TikTok. We'll see. But just a piece of advice for you. Look down at the boots that you're wearing and locate those straps. Pull yourself up by those bootstraps and then take those boots and put them on the ground and go do some work. If you can, get outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, find something to do. Before you go outside, though, find a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say something nice about yourself. Take care of the people that you love. Drink lots of water. It's summertime. It's very important to stay hydrated. That's very, very important. So get hydrated. Go put those boots on the ground. And until I see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Stay cute and cool. And have a great summer.